memory of her earlier peril still lingering in her mind. Gu Yechen chuckled as he soaked in the tub, replying, "You flatter me. With your intellect and courage, you would have surely prevailed." His voice resonated in the bathroom, imbued with a reassuring strength. "I wonder if you might have some time to spare? I would like to invite you to dinner," Ji Qingzi suggested, feeling a flutter of nervousness. Having never experienced such precarious situations before, she felt immense gratitude towards Gu Yechen, which in turn sparked a keen interest in him. Gu Yechen pondered her request for a moment. Tomorrow would be rather tight, as he was set to return to Star Sea with a packed schedule. However, how could he refuse an invitation from such an enchanting lady? "Tomorrow morning, if that suits you. I must return to Star Sea, so time may be limited," he replied with a smile, already looking forward to their next encounter. Hearing his words, Ji Qingzi let out a breath of relief, her face blooming with a radiant smile. "Very well, Mr. Gu, I shall pick you up tomorrow morning," she quickly replied, her mind buzzing with plans for their meeting. As Gu Yechen rose from the tub, drying himself with a towel, he settled onto the bed. "Thank you, Miss Ji, for your kindness," he replied to her message, leaning back as his thoughts drifted. That night, Ji Qingzi tossed and turned in her bed, unable to find rest. Her mind preoccupied with thoughts of Gu Yechen and their impending meeting. Gu Yechen, too, contemplated future developments and potential collaborations with Ji Qingzi. After all, he could not monopolize all opportunities. That would make him a target, and he lacked the capacity for such a feat just as he was deep in thought. His phone rang. "Hello, Schwer." He answered upon seeing it was Ning Qianxue calling. "You rascal, always up to mischief." Ning Qianxue playfully scolded. "Is everything set up?" "Yes. It's nearly done. Is there anything else to add?" Gu Yechen inquired. "I want my sister's image and blessings displayed across all screens in Star Sea," he stated. "Understood," Ning Qianxue affirmed. After a brief conversation, they ended the call. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the curtains, illuminating the room. Gu Yechen rose early, tidied himself up, and awaited Ji Qingzi's arrival. Soon, her car pulled up outside the hotel. Today, she had meticulously prepared herself, donning a simple yet elegant dress that accentuated her extraordinary grace, shedding the icy demeanor of a high-powered executive. As Gu Yechen entered the car, their eyes met, and they exchanged smiles as they set off towards the restaurant. During the drive, they engaged in light-hearted conversation, the atmosphere warm and congenial. Upon arriving at the restaurant, Ji Qingzi ordered an exquisite spread of dim sum as a token of her gratitude. "Mr. Gu, should you require any assistance in Guangxing in the future, do not hesitate to reach out. I will do my utmost to help," Ji Qingzi said with a smile. "Then allow me to express my gratitude in advance, Miss Ji," Gu Yechen replied. Chapter 242. Seeking collaboration in his heart, he pondered, "You wish to assist me? I require your personal involvement. Is that within your capability?" Yet, Gu Yechen refrained from voicing these thoughts. "Mr. Gu, I believe that the development of renewable energy in Huagua holds immense potential. I wonder if you have any insights regarding the current progress?" Ji Qingzi ventured tentatively, her gaze fixed intently on Gu Yechen, her eyes shimmering with a hint of anticipation. She dared not speak too overtly, for the man before her was far from ordinary. If Gu Yechen were to turn against the Ji family, their impending bankruptcy could be swift, especially given the current struggles of the Ji group. Gu Yechen was savoring a chicken foot, a must-have during his morning tea. Upon hearing Ji Qingzi's words, he paused, realizing that this Ritterni was indeed deserving of her reputation. However, he felt unperturbed, for he had already taken significant strides ahead of others. Observing Ji Qingzi, he pondered that should he manage to recruit her, her capabilities could undoubtedly elevate his commercial empire to greater heights. "Ms. Ji, your vision is quite commendable. However, if I recall correctly, the Ji family's primary business does not seem to align with renewable energy," Gu Yechen remarked with a playful smile dancing in his eyes. Ji Qingzi responded with a subtle smile. "You are correct, Mr. Gu. However, our company is currently in a crisis. Without an influx of new energy, we may face bankruptcy. I wonder if there exists an opportunity for collaboration?" Her voice was calm, though the slight tremor at its end betrayed her inner tension. Without hesitation, Ji Qingzi articulated her thoughts. She perceived Gu Yechen's abilities to be far beyond what he had revealed. If she could forge a partnership with him, it would undoubtedly present an opportunity for the Ji family to turn their fortunes around. Gu Yechen regarded Ji Qingzi with surprise. Her forthrightness was indeed remarkable. "Collaboration is possible, though I am curious if you have any proposals in mind?" he asked, a hint of amusement glimmering in his eyes. Ji Qingzi's heart raced with excitement at his words, yet her expression remained composed. Her upbringing forbade her from displaying overt emotion. Her earlier behavior in the bar had merely been a desperate reaction. "I have a plan, which I have brought with me," Ji Qingzi said, producing a document and handing it to Gu Yechen, her eyes brimming with hope. Gu Yechen hesitated momentarily, surprised by her trust. Seeing her directness, he decided against declining her offer. He opened the document and perused its contents, furrowing his brow as he glanced at Ji Qingzi. The proposal outlined a plan to independently establish battery production technology, which intrigued him, as his own company was also preparing to develop a battery technology enterprise, albeit still in its early stages. This was indeed an essential facet of renewable energy. It appears that Mr. Gu is quite pleased with this proposal, Ji Qingzi remarked. Catching the shift in his expression, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Ms. Ji, I have already commenced work on the contents of this proposal, and on a much larger scale than you have outlined, Gu Yechen replied, his tone imbued with a sense of pride. At this revelation, Ji Qingzi's disbelief was palpable, her composed demeanor faltering as her eyes widened and her lips parted slightly in astonishment. Your ideas are exceptionally innovative and forward-thinking, presenting a compelling scenario. Provided you can seize the opportunity, Gu Yechen admitted candidly, confident that no one could rival him, particularly as he possessed a distinct advantage. Is there any possibility for collaboration between us? Ji Qingzi inquired, her voice tinged with urgency. Gu Yechen paused before responding. In regard to the current matter, the chances are slim, as my company is already conducting research into renewable energy and has made considerable progress. It would be unfeasible to share any part of it with you. However, we might explore collaboration in other sectors. His tone remained calm, yet resolute. Ji Qingzi felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. The proposal had been meticulously crafted based on global trends, only to discover that Gu Yechen had already undertaken this research and achieved results. This realization left her feeling defeated, her once bright eyes dimming. I understand that your company is currently facing financial difficulties. I can offer you an investment, albeit with certain conditions, Gu Yechen stated matter-of-factly. His gaze fixed intently on Ji Qingzi's reaction. Ji Qingzi, taken aback, pondered the implications of his offer. The Ji Group indeed needed investment, yet due to the complexities involved, few were willing to provide assistance. She had not anticipated Gu Yechen making such a proposition. What are your terms? She asked, maintaining her composure. Though her tone betrayed a trace of curiosity, I shall be straightforward. I have no other interests, merely an appreciation for beauty. This is not a crude proposition. I simply wish to provide a beautiful woman with a home. If you choose to accompany me, I can extend an investment that will alleviate your crisis. Gu Yechen replied with a smile, his words direct and tinged with an unmistakable desire. Upon hearing his words, Ji Qingzi felt as if a chilling frost had enveloped her. The air grew heavy with an unwelcoming coldness. She had believed Gu Yechen to be different, only to find he too sought her physical presence. Her countenance darkened with disappointment, her perception of Gu Yechen shattering in an instant. Ji Qingzi remained silent. Her earlier decision to venture out for a drink without bodyguards stemming from the suffocating financial constraints of her company. Despite her capabilities, she found herself unable to resolve the issue swiftly. Previously, numerous men had offered assistance, but at the cost of demanding her as their mistress. She had always believed she could find a solution, yet now, she felt overwhelmed by despair, her lips pressed tightly together as she grappled with inner turmoil. Consider my proposal. Should you come to a decision, simply call me, provided you remain unblemished, Gu Yechen said with a smile, rising to depart. His retreating figure appearing cold and unyielding in Ji Qingzi's eyes. Once Gu Yechen had left, Ji Qingzi sat alone, tears welling in her eyes. Throughout her life, she had seldom cried, yet this moment rendered her utterly helpless. She felt an overwhelming sense of injustice and frustration, having sacrificed so much for her family's enterprise only to confront such humiliation and adversity. At that moment, Gu Yechen's phone rang. He frowned upon seeing it was a call from Wang Yun. He had visited just the day before. Why was he calling again now? Hello, Secretary Wang? Gu Yechen answered the phone with a smile. Chapter 243, Late-Stage Lung Cancer. Life is short. Hey, has Yechen returned from the Star Sea? Wang Yun's voice was laced with urgency, as if there were something of utmost importance at hand. Not yet. I was just about to leave. Secretary Wang, is there something you need? Gu Yechen responded, a hint of confusion flickering in his mind. That's great. Where are you now? Wang Yun's excitement was palpable, his tone involuntarily rising a few notches. Ji Qingzi observed Gu Yechen's paused figure, puzzled by why he had halted despite seemingly having left. She scrutinized him closely, and the more she looked, the more her cheeks flushed. The typically aloof female CEO transformed into a bashful girl, contemplating. Gu Yechen is certainly better than others. Most importantly, he is handsome. Perhaps following him would not be a loss. With that thought, Ji Qingzi's gaze grew resolute. If she were to choose someone, Gu Yechen would be the finest option. She dismissed other thoughts, feeling she should take the initiative to approach him. Just as Gu Yechen hung up the call, Ji Qingzi spoke up. Mr. Gu, I agree to your terms. When do you wish to finalize this? The moment she uttered these words, her icy demeanor vanished, her exquisitely beautiful cheeks blushing like a splendid sunset. Gu Yechen turned in surprise, not anticipating Ji Qingzi would come to a decision so swiftly. He had assumed it would take her days to do so. Indeed, she is a remarkably astute woman. He mused inwardly. Then please take me to the first hospital of Guangqing Medical University, Gu Yechen said as he embraced Ji Qingzi, his tone tinged with urgency. Ji Qingzi. momentarily stunned by the embrace, realized this was her first time being held so by a young man. A peculiar sensation washed over her, making her feel as though she had struck gold. Please let go of me, otherwise how can I drive? Ji Qingzi blushed, playfully pushing Gu Yichen away. Her voice laced with mock reproach. Apologies, let us be off. Gu Yichen smiled, his hand appearing almost guided by an invisible force as he took Ji Qingzi's hand and led her outside, his movements fluid and natural. With no choice but to comply, Ji Qingzi allowed Gu Yichen to hold her hand, secretly pleased and unwilling to break free. What do you need to do at the hospital? Ji Qingzi inquired while driving, her gaze fixed on the road ahead. Secretary Wang asked me to come. He mentioned an elderly gentleman requires my assistance. Gu Yichen shrugged, his expression somewhat resigned. Secretary Wang, an elderly gentleman? Seeking your help at the hospital? Ji Qingzi and Appo's mind froze momentarily. Could it be that Gu Yichen was also a doctor? She glanced at him, pondering. Could he be the destined one from novels? A miraculous healer, unmatched in skill. Surrounded by admirers? She dared not dwell further, as Gu Yichen's current trajectory aligned perfectly with her thoughts. Before long, they arrived at the First People's Hospital of Guangqing. Upon exiting the vehicle, Gu Yichen made a beeline for the reception desk. Ji Qingzi, unsure of what to do, simply followed behind him like a dutiful shadow. Mr. Gu. As soon as Gu Yichen stepped into the hospital lobby, Secretary Wang's assistant spotted him and rushed over, her voice brimming with urgency. Gu Yichen glanced at the approaching figure and smiled. Secretary Chen, what brings you here? The secretary sent me to fetch you. We need to hurry upstairs. Secretary Chen replied, her forehead glistening with perspiration. Let us go. Gu Yichen nodded, following closely behind as Secretary Chen led the way with hurried steps. Ji Qingzi trailed behind, her curiosity piqued. After traversing a corridor, they arrived at the door of a private ward, where several individuals were gathered. Secretary Chen knocked on the door, announcing, Secretary Wang, Mr. Gu has arrived. Wang Yin turned to see Gu Yichen at the door and exclaimed, Xiao Chen, come quickly and take a look. His gaze was filled with trust. Gu Yichen froze momentarily at the sight of the elderly man in the bed. Their eyes met, and the old man's information flashed before him. Name, Lei Zhigua, age, 78, status, former commander of the Guangdong military region, experience, a battle-hardened soldier who dedicated his life to the nation. Health, late-stage lung cancer, with little time remaining. Upon reviewing the data, Gu Yichen was taken aback. He had not expected to encounter a veteran who had weathered the storms of war. He had always admired soldiers, and a sense of respect washed over him. At that moment, an ill-timed voice interjected, Secretary Wang, are you certain? You brought a mere child to treat Elder Lei? A man with a bag, who identified himself as a doctor, cast a scornful glance at Gu Yichen, convinced of his own unmatched medical prowess. He believed that a case deemed untreatable by him was beyond hope. Young man, I advise you to go home. This is not a matter for someone of your caliber. The doctor sneered, his tone dripping with derision. Silence. Xiao Chen is someone I invited. How would I not know his capabilities? If you cannot save him, do not hinder others from trying. Wang Yin shouted, his tone sharp and his expression darkening. Gu Yichen smiled, saying, in my view, Elder Lei's condition is treatable. Since you are also a doctor, what do you propose for his treatment? His voice was calm, yet resolute, locking eyes with the skeptical physician. The physician, upon hearing Gu Yichen's words, fell silent, incredulous. He's in the late stage of lung cancer. Can he really be saved? What a joke. Quack. He had already labeled Gu Yichen as incompetent. Humph, you little brat, oblivious to your own limitations. This is late-stage lung cancer. Do you think it's just a common cold? It can't be treated. What a delusion. The doctor scoffed, crossing his arms, eagerly awaiting Gu Yichen's failure. Ignoring the doctor's jeers, Gu Yichen approached the bedside, pretending to carefully examine Elder Lei. He first checked the old man's pulse, then observed his complexion and tongue. Falling into deep thought, the onlookers in the ward watched Gu Yichen with bated breath, unsure of what he might propose. Xiao Chen, how is it? Wang Yin could no longer contain his curiosity. Gu Yichen lifted his head, a gentle smile gracing his lips as he replied, Secretary Wang, do not worry. Although Elder Lei and Appo's condition is severe, there is still hope. Upon hearing this, the crowd exchanged astonished glances. You claim there is hope? Do not boast. The doctor interjected with a mocking tone. Gu Yichen shot him a sidelong glance and retorted, your inability to treat him does not imply that I cannot. Might it be that your skills are lacking? Ji Qingzi stood nearby, her eyes filled with intrigue as she sought to understand how Gu Yichen could possibly be confident in treating a late-stage cancer patient. Suddenly, Gu Yichen withdrew a set of silver needles from his pocket and laid them before him. Then he turned to Wang Yun, saying, Secretary Wang, I require a constitution pill. Is there any way to bring another from the laboratory? Chapter 244. The Lost Art of Medicine. Wang Yun was momentarily taken aback, then let out a bitter smile as he said, I fear I must seek approval from higher authorities. I do not possess the authority to make such decisions. His face was etched with helplessness, his brows slightly knitted. Time is of the essence for the patient. You may go ahead and seek approval. I shall commence with the acupuncture, Gu Yechen declared, grasping a slender silver needle, his unwavering gaze reflecting a resolute determination to save a life. Yet, the elderly man once again obstructed Gu Yechen, questioning, "Do you possess a medical license? If not, you are prohibited from administering treatment." His tone dripped with skepticism and inquiry. "Someone, please escort him out." Wang Yun shot a glance at the elder, a flicker of anger passing through his eyes. He had contemplated throwing the man out for his incessant interruptions. At that moment, Wang Yun was in a state of acute anxiety, solely focused on facilitating Gu Yechen's treatment of elder Lei. "Secretary Wang, he does have a point," Gu Yechen interjected. "I possess a medical license. But I must ask if the family is indeed willing." A chilling thought crept into his mind. The family. His expression turned grave. For the family and Apos, S stance was crucial at such a pivotal moment. "Is Ijo on his way?" Wang Yun inquired as he dialed a number, yet on the other end, the response was consistently evasive. Wang Yun's complexion grew increasingly grim, his grip on the phone tightening unconsciously. At that juncture, Elder Lei roused himself and declared, "Do not seek Ijo. He has his own matters to attend to, his own mission. I will sign myself." Though his voice was frail, it resonated with determination. Wang Yun hesitated, yet ultimately instructed the nurse to provide the necessary items, while he himself made a call to seek approval from above. "Young man, you are quite impressive. The old man has faith in you." After signing, Elder Lei managed a pained smile, one imbued with trust in Gu Yechen. "Let us begin." Elder, Gu Yechen steadied himself, inhaled deeply, and lifted the silver needle. Instantly, a surge of martial energy enveloped the needle, as he deftly and accurately inserted it into Elder Lei's body. 12 silver needles in total. Each insertion was executed with precision, showcasing his adeptness and fluidity. Finally, as Gu Yechen grasped another silver needle, a faint sound wave seemed to emanate from it. He punctured the last acupoint, causing Elder Lei to cough up a mouthful of dark, ominous blood, instilling a sense of alarm in those present. "What is this?" The fabled 13 deadly needles. The hospital director's voice trembled with excitement. He had not anticipated witnessing a long-lost technique, of which only 10 needles had remained in modern lore. His eyes widened in disbelief, fixated on Gu Yechen's every action, fearful of missing any detail. Beside him, an elderly traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, the director of the TCM hospital, wore an expression of exhilaration. He had come to this place due to Elder Lei's condition, feeling utterly helpless, but now he was witnessing the revival of the lost 13 deadly needles. Yet, the atmosphere was so tense that no one dared to breathe, lest they disrupt Gu Yechen's concentration. Wang Yun returned, reporting that approval had been granted for the use of the body-nourishing pill to save Elder Lei, and he had dispatched Secretary Qin to retrieve the medicine. At that moment, Elder Lei felt a resurgence of vitality within himself, akin to regaining youth, which filled him with exhilaration. He reveled in the transformation of his body, his eyes alight with surprise. Gu Yechen remained focused on Elder Lei's condition, and after half an hour, witnessing improvement, he carefully removed all the silver needles. "How do you feel, Elder?" Gu Yechen inquired with a light-hearted tone, a smile gracing his face. "Young man, I feel splendid. It's as if I have regained a few years of youth. Thank you for saving my life." Elder Lei looked at Gu Yechen with increasing fondness, his eyes brimming with gratitude. "Young friend, I have a little granddaughter who is 25. I wonder if you..." Before Elder Lei could finish, Gu Yechen interjected, "Elder, your body is not yet fully recovered. You will need to undergo a special treatment, though I am uncertain if you can withstand the pain." Gu Yechen regarded Elder Lei with concern, for this was no ordinary discomfort. His expression was grave, his brows knitted tightly. "Impudent lad, do you underestimate me?" Elder Lei chuckled, chiding him lightly. "What hardships have I not endured? I bear the scars of many bullets. Do not fret, just proceed. Even if I were to perish, I would hold no grudge against you." With a grand gesture, Elder Lei exuded an admirable spirit. Wang Yun turned to leave, intending to check on the arrival of the body-nourishing pill. "Uncle Wang, how is my grandfather?" Just then, a melodious voice called out. As a young woman in military attire approached Wang Yun, her expression laced with urgency. "Xiaoya, what brings you here?" Wang Yun was taken aback. He had expected Lei Yu to be at her post in the military. The sight of the resolute Lei Yu sparked confusion in his mind. "My father informed me." And upon receiving the news, I rushed over, Lei Yu replied, her face anxious. Despite having run, her breathing remained composed, indicative of her excellent physical condition. "Late-stage lung cancer," Wang Yun stated solemnly. Boom. The word struck Lei Yu like a thunderclap, causing her to stagger back a few steps. Her bright eyes dulled in shock. She had never imagined her grandfather was in such dire condition. Tears threatened to spill, yet she fought to hold them back. "Do not despair. We have found a miraculous doctor who assures us your grandfather can be saved." Wang Yun hastened to reassure her, gently patting her shoulder in an attempt to provide comfort. Upon hearing Wang Yun and Apos' words, Lei Yu lifted her head, her expression shifting as she nodded, quickly entering the ward. Upon entering, Lei Yu beheld her grandfather, whose pallor had improved considerably, alleviating her worries somewhat. Grandfather. Lei Yu rushed to the bedside, grasping Elder Lei's hand. Xiaoya, do not fret. See, I am fine. Elder Lei smiled, attempting to console his granddaughter. Grandfather, why did you not inform us? Lei Yu's tone held a hint of reproach. For their family had been oblivious to Elder Lei and Appo's cancer and its severity. Chapter 245, A Medical Miracle? You all have your own affairs to attend to. In comparison to the nation's significant matters, my trivial issues are utterly inconsequential. Old Master Lei, feeling somewhat gratified, affectionately patted her head, his tone imbued with tenderness. The moment Lei Yu entered, she spotted Gu Yeqing and thus understood that he was the one who had saved her grandfather. However, she was taken aback to learn that the miraculous physician, as described by Wang Yun, was such a youthful and handsome man. She gazed at Gu Yeqing, her eyes brimming with gratitude. Thank you for saving my grandfather. Within her look lingered a hint of curiosity, as she had never encountered such a young divine healer before. Gu Yeqing smiled and replied, Old Master Lei is a national treasure. It is my duty to assist. His smile was genuine, creating an aura of warmth akin to a gentle spring breeze. At that moment, Wang Yun entered, holding a vitality pill. Yeqing, I have brought the item, he said, his face betraying a touch of anxiety, fearing that Old Master Lei might inadvertently succumb to his condition. Gu Yeqing took the vitality pill and addressed Old Master Lei. After consuming this, you may experience some discomfort. You must endure it. His expression was grave, for he spoke no falsehood. Old Master Lei nodded resolutely. Rest assured, my young friend. His eyes radiated trust. Gu Yeqing turned to Wang Yun and commanded, Secretary, please clear the room. His tone was decisive. Wang Yun, understanding his intent, nodded and stated, Everyone except Lei Yu, please step outside. The others were left in a state of uncertainty regarding the forthcoming treatment, even if they wished to remain. They had no choice but to depart with a sense of regret. Gu Yeqing gently patted Ji Qingzi's head and said, Please wait for me outside, all right? Ji Qingzi nodded, turning to leave, glancing back repeatedly, her eyes filled with reluctance. Upon witnessing the exchange of glances between Gu Yeqing and Ji Qingzi, Lei Jigua sighed, initially hoping to play matchmaker for his granddaughter, but it seemed that hope was slipping away. After everyone exited, Gu Yeqing administered the vitality pill to Old Master Lei. Moments later, a pained expression crossed Old Master Lei's face, yet he gritted his teeth in silence, his fists clenched tightly, veins protruding on his arms as he endured considerable agony. Lei Yu watched from the side, her heart aching, yet she dared not interrupt. She looked at Gu Yeqing, then at Wang Yun, seeking some reassurance in their expressions, yet they remained composed, which offered her a modicum of comfort. Her hands instinctively twisted together as she silently prayed for her grandfather's safety. After a while, the sensation of pain gradually subsided, and Old Master Lei exhaled a long breath. How do you feel, Old Master? Gu Yeqing inquired, his voice laced with concern. Much better, much better. I feel as if I have regained a few years of youth. Old Master Lei replied with a smile. By the way, what was that I just ingested? The effect is truly remarkable, though the pain is something most people might not endure. Curiosity danced upon his features. Wang Yun, caught in a dilemma, said, Old Master, this item is confidential. It might be. He paused, then continued. However, I can say that it is undoubtedly of immense significance for our nation. Wang Yun's demeanor was serious. Upon hearing Wang Yun and Appo's words, Lei Jigua nodded in understanding. Some inquiries were best left unasked, and he chose to remain silent. He held a deep fondness for Gu Yeqing. How wonderful it would be if he could become his granddaughter and Appo's suitor. Alas, it seemed a distant dream. Lei Yu observed her grandfather and noted his youthful transformation with astonishment. Grandfather, you truly appear younger. Lei Yu exclaimed, her voice brimming with disbelief. Can there be any doubt? I can feel the changes within my own body. Old Master Lei beamed with delight. The cycle of life, aging, and death is natural, yet who wouldn't wish to extend their days if possible? His vitality was evidently improved, and a renewed sparkle shone in his eyes. Wang Yun opened the ward door, peering outside. Director Li, please come in and examine Old Lei's condition. Upon hearing Wang Yun, Hospital Director Li Jiang entered with several doctors and nurses to assess Lei Jigua's health. The head of the traditional Chinese medicine hospital regarded Gu Yeqing with gleaming eyes, for he was aware of Gu Yeqing's mastery of the 13 needles of death, a miraculous skill capable of snatching life from the jaws of death. If only it could be fully realized. Li Jiang occasionally glanced at Gu Yeqing, contemplating how he might retain him as a consultant or expert for their hospital. Such an acquisition would be invaluable. His focus was so diverted that several doctors had to remind him to concentrate on the examination. Before long, the results were revealed. The doctors, holding the reports, wore expressions of utter disbelief. The results indicated that Lei Jigua's health was remarkably good. His late-stage lung cancer had been cured. How could this be? It was inconceivable that recovery was possible at such an advanced stage, and they hurriedly presented the reports to Li Jiang. Seeing their bewildered expressions unsettled Li Jiang, who felt their lack of composure was unbecoming. If others were to learn that his hospital's doctors were so unsteady, what would they think? He furrowed his brow and admonished them. What is the matter? Such behavior is unacceptable. Li Jiang took the examination results from their hands and, upon glancing at the findings, his eyes widened in astonishment. His reaction mirrored that of his subordinates, perhaps even more exaggerated, as he cast a glance at Gu Yeqing. His mouth fell slightly ajar, rendered speechless. The head of the traditional Chinese medicine hospital, noticing Li Jiang's astonishment, wondered what was amiss and took a look at the report himself, only to be equally dumbfounded. Stuttering, he remarked, how is this possible? Did you make an error in your examination? Or was it not thorough enough? Li Jiang scrutinized the doctors responsible for the tests, his voice quivering slightly, still reeling from shock. Director, we conducted the examination with the highest standards and found no discrepancies. The results are indeed as stated. Yet we too find it hard to believe. One of the examining doctors explained, having initially thought he had made a mistake upon seeing the results. He wiped the sweat from his brow, his expression tense and laced with confusion. This is nothing short of a medical miracle, Li Jiang murmured, his gaze returning to Gu Yeqing, as if he were beholding a treasure of medical knowledge. Wang Yan stepped forward, glancing at the report, a smile of satisfaction gracing her features. Yeqing, you have once again wrought a miracle. However, this matter may embroil you in complications. Lei Yu, upon viewing the results, excitedly embraced Lei Zhigua. Grandfather, you are truly well. This is wonderful. Old Master Lei laughed heartily. All credit goes to my young friend. Cough, cough. Gu Yeqing lightly cleared his throat. Chapter 246. The Art of Acupuncture. Mr. Gu, thank you for saving my grandfather. In the future, should you require any assistance, as long as it does not contravene our principles, the Lei family shall never decline. Lei gazed at Gu Yeqing, her eyes brimming with gratitude, to witness her grandfather, a terminal lung cancer patient, be revived against all odds, when everyone had deemed him beyond salvation, was nothing short of exhilarating. Gu Yeqing cast a glance at Lei Yu, and information instantaneously materialized before him. Name: Lei Yu. Age: 25. Appearance: 95. Martial arts realm: early stage of 6th level warrior. Number of developments: 0. Background: born into a military family. She excelled academically to enter the National Defense University and has since trained in the forces, now holding the rank of captain. You are too kind. Gu Yeqing responded with a gentle smile, his demeanor reminiscent of a polished gentleman, his smile akin to a spring breeze that stirred even Lei Yu, hardened by military training. Yeqing, what do you plan to do now? Should we report this incident? Wang Yan spoke with concern, apprehensive that disclosing the matter could summon endless troubles for Gu Yeqing. Given the multitude of cancer patients worldwide, his brow furrowed slightly, his gaze filled with uncertainty. Do not make it public. I wish for my life to remain undisturbed. Gu Yeqing stated with a serious tone, his eyes resolute and unyielding. He had no intention of squandering his time on such matters, for he had more significant endeavors awaiting him. Wang Yan shared the sentiment that Gu Yeqing had broader horizons to explore. He addressed everyone. What transpired today must remain confidential. He turned to Secretary Chen, commanding, prepare a non-disclosure agreement for everyone. This matter must be kept secret. His voice was deep and authoritative, imbued with an undeniable gravitas. Secretary Chen promptly set to work following Wang Yan's directives. Young friend, at that moment, Li Jiang and the director of the traditional Chinese medicine hospital regarded Gu Yeqing with fervent admiration, their eyes sparkling as if they had stumbled upon a rare treasure. Do the two esteemed seniors have any requests? Gu Yeqing inquired, his smile radiating confidence and an unusual charisma, as if everything lay within his grasp. May I inquire if the acupuncture technique you employed to save Elder Lei is the long-lost 13 deadly needles? Li Jiang's voice trembled slightly, his heart filled with anticipation and anxiety. If true, it would mark a historic breakthrough for traditional Chinese medicine. He fixed his gaze on Gu Yeqing, yearning for affirmation. The two men stared intently at Gu Yeqing, fearful of mishearing anything. Who would have thought that the legend of the 13 deadly needles still lingers in this world? Indeed, it is the 13 deadly needles, Gu Yeqing replied nonchalantly, his tone relaxed and devoid of any turbulence. Upon hearing Gu Yeqing's confirmation, the two directors' eyes widened in astonishment, their expressions radiating fervor as they urgently grasped Gu Yeqing's hands, pleading, might it be possible for you to impart this 13 deadly needles technique? Their voices were filled with urgency and profound longing. Gu Yeqing was momentarily taken aback. He had not anticipated anyone would express a desire to learn the 13 deadly needles. Such eager scholars, I fear that may not be feasible. When I took over, I vowed that the 13 deadly needles must not be disseminated. Sharing it would be a breach of that vow, he replied, shaking his head and feigning a look of difficulty. The two hospital directors grew anxious. For the 13 deadly needles was a long-lost secret art. Mastering it could undoubtedly save countless lives. Their faces were etched with worry, beads of sweat forming on their brows. With deep bows, they implored Gu Yeqing, Mr. Gu, this 13 deadly needles represents a monumental advancement in medicine. We wish to be your disciples. Might you allow it? Their sincerity was palpable, their eyes shimmering with hope. Within the ward, everyone was taken aback. Two esteemed professors in the medical field were humbly seeking to apprentice under a young man, leaving all speechless. Directors, what is this? A physician finally broke the silence. Confusion evident on his face. Silence, do not speak. Li Jiang shot him a glare, his tone stern. The physician fell silent, feeling unjustly reprimanded despite his good intentions. A look of grievance crossed his face, but he dared not speak further. I do not take apprentices, Gu Yechen shrugged, producing a book detailing the 13 deadly needles. He had no intention of wasting time on this. If the two learned it, it would be beneficial. This is the method of the 13 deadly needles. How much you comprehend depends on your own capabilities. You must not disclose it. I refuse to see our ancestors' heritage being appropriated by outsiders, Gu Yechen stated firmly. His gaze sharp and his tone resolute. Rest assured, Mr. Gu, we will never divulge such divine techniques. Li Jiang and the director replied earnestly, their expressions solemn. That is well. Should I discover any leaks abroad, I shall personally retrieve what was given and ensure you both face consequences. Gu Yechen warned as he handed the book to the director of the traditional Chinese medicine hospital, his eyes icy and carrying a hint of menace. Thank you, Mr. Gu. The hospital director's expression was one of profound excitement, tears glistening in his eyes, as if he had obtained the most precious treasure in the world. Director, why have I never heard of the 13 deadly needles? A physician asked, curiosity etched on his features. That is a matter of ignorance. The 13 deadly needles is not merely an ordinary acupuncture technique. It is an extraordinary art. The healing of Elder Lei was undoubtedly influenced significantly by the 13 deadly needles. As well as that medicinal pill, the director spoke with gravity, his tone filled with reverence for this medical art. All that transpired today must remain confidential. If anyone speaks out and causes trouble for Mr. Gu, do not blame me for turning hostile, Wang Yun declared, his tone severe, laced with a subtle threat. He surveyed each person present, instilling a sense of dread. At that moment, Secretary Chun entered the ward, carrying some agreements to distribute among the attendees. Everyone must sign this agreement. Any breach will incur the most severe penalties, Wang Yun instructed. Rest assured, Secretary Wang, we shall not disclose this matter. This is a treasure of our nation and Apos' traditional medicine, something we seek but cannot attain. The two directors responded with solemnity, fully aware of the significance of this affair. Each person signed the agreement. Elder, do take care. I shall take my leave. Gu Yechen smiled, standing to depart, his movements natural and unpretentious. Shall you, please add Mr. Gu's contact information. We would love to invite him over as a guest, Lei Jigua suggested, believing it best to befriend a talent like Gu Yechen. His face adorned with a kind smile. Gu Yechen, hearing Lei Jigua's words, found no reason to refuse. Adding another beautiful contact was quite agreeable. Lei Yu took out her phone and exchanged contact information with Gu Yechen. After leaving the ward, Gu Yechen felt a sense of relief. This experience had proven to be a unique challenge for him. I am about to leave Guangqing, Gu Yechen told Ji Qingzi. Chapter 247. Ji Qingzi's first kiss where to? Ji Qingzi harbored a fondness for being with Gu Yechen, though she could not articulate the origin of this sentiment. Each time she approached him, an inexplicable sense of security enveloped her. Tomorrow is my sister's birthday. I have prepared a birthday banquet for her. Soon after, school will commence, and I shall be attending school in Kyoto. Gu Yechen grasped Ji Qingzi and Apos' small hand, his tone light and casual, yet tinged with nostalgia. You're still a student? Ji Qingzi's expression shifted to one of astonishment, her beautiful eyes brimming with disbelief. She had not anticipated that this handsome, affluent, and exceptionally talented man was still a student, which stirred a hint of frustration within her. He had achieved such remarkable success at a young age, while her own efforts over the years seemed trivial in comparison. Indeed, I am a legitimate national top scorer, achieving a perfect score in the college entrance examination. Gu Yechen shrugged, a subtle pride gracing his features. To him, this was not a monumental achievement, but merely a small milestone in his life. What? Ji Qingzi's voice rose, her demeanor frozen in shock, the astonishment stripping away her usual aloofness. She had believed her score of 710 was commendable, yet it paled in comparison before Gu Yechen. Why are you shouting? I'm not about to eat you, Gu Yechen replied, startled and somewhat speechless. He found her astonishment amusing. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, Ji Qingzi felt her cheeks flush crimson, understanding his implication. Although she had always presented herself as the cool, composed CEO, deep within, she retained a girlish side. Fond of a pink bedroom and charming items like oversized teddy bear pillows. What should I do now? Ji Qingzi's voice was weak. She was no longer the decisive CEO, but rather a bewildered little girl. Gu Yechen, taken aback, pondered if Ji Qingzi had truly acquiesced. If so, he would not mind pursuing her further before returning to Shanghai. What is your card number? I'll transfer some money to you. Once in the car, Gu Yechen sought to fan the flames of their budding connection, keenly observing Ji Qingzi's reactions. I haven't contributed anything yet. I can't just take your money. Ji Qingzi held firm to her principles, reluctant to accept gifts, especially in such an ambiguous relationship. Are you not afraid I might take advantage of you and not pay? Gu Yechen inquired, bemused since she had seemingly gained nothing. He teased her lightly, testing her boundaries. Afraid? Then you should first give me money to save my company. Ji Qingzi conceded after a moment's thought. Gu Yechen was momentarily stunned. He had not expected Ji Qingzi to seize the opportunity. He shook his head and smiled. All right. He leaned over to the driver's seat and swiftly kissed Ji Qingzi. A wave of sensation coursed through Ji Qingzi, rendering her momentarily frozen. Her heart raced. And she had never anticipated losing her first kiss in such a manner. Gazing at Gu Yechen's handsome face so near, she felt exhilarated. After all, he was undeniably attractive. With a flutter of her eyes closed, they embraced in a kiss. 2.5 minutes later, Gu Yechen released Ji Qingzi, who was gasping for breath, her expression a blend of complaint and allure as she said, I almost couldn't breathe. Her tone, tinged with reproach, carried a hint of fragility that made one yearn to protect her once more. Gu Yechen retrieved a card from his system space, handing it to Ji Qingzi with a smile. There's 100 billion in it. If you can make your company thrive, I might consider collaborating with you. 100 billion, just like that? Ji Qingzi was taken aback, questioning her worth and Gu Yechen and Apos' opulence. Could he have ulterior motives? Countless questions raced through her mind. Yet the sincerity in Gu Yechen's gaze quelled her doubts. Cast aside those errant thoughts, Gu Yechen playfully flicked her forehead, his gesture affectionate and natural. How did you know what I was thinking? Ji Qingzi chuckled awkwardly, her cheeks flushed like ripened apples, tempting one to take a bite. With that look in your eyes, you think you can deceive me? You're far too young for that. Gu Yechen shrugged, feigning disdain, though his eyes sparkled with fondness. You little brat, how dare you call me young? Ji Qingzi, now devoid of her earlier icy demeanor, appeared more like a coy girl teasing her beloved. I plan to have you for lunch. I'm returning to Shanghai this afternoon. Are you willing? Gu Yechen's gaze turned serious, filled with warmth and sincerity, making Ji Qingzi feel vulnerable under his scrutiny. It was as if his eyes could penetrate her very soul, leaving her with no escape. Ji Qingzi responded softly, her voice barely above a whisper. But am I worth such an investment? Absolutely, but I have many women. And there's a strong possibility I want to provide you with a title. Can you accept that? Gu Yechen scrutinized Ji Qingzi, seeking her response. In truth, I'm already prepared, she acknowledged, knowing she had little choice. Unless she agreed to an arranged marriage with someone 20 years her senior. Gu Yechen was undeniably the more appealing option, given his superior looks. Gu Yechen was elated. Another chance for a lottery draw. He urged Ji Qingzi to drive him to his hotel. Let's south go to my place, Ji Qingzi said, her face flushed, her voice tinged with shyness. Congratulations, host. You have spent 100 billion to gain 100 enhancement points. You currently have 850 enhancement points. The system's voice echoed in Gu Yechen's mind, but he was too absorbed in the moment to heed such matters. Upon entering the upscale community, they parked in Ji Qingzi's villa garage, a serene environment filled with lush greenery and solitary villas. Ji Qingzi and Apos' 3-story villa stood alone, spacious yet incomparable to Gu Yechen and Apos' abode. As soon as they crossed the threshold, Gu Yechen swept Ji Qingzi off her feet, his eyes ablaze with desire. Why the rush? Ji Qingzi, though inexperienced, felt a tingle of anxiety at Gu Yechen's fervor. She had heard that a woman's first time could be painful, and uncertainty gripped her. Her arms instinctively wrapped around his neck, her body trembling slightly. Chapter 248. Embracing Ji Qingzi. The man who is not overly eager in the presence of such beauty surely lacks capability. Gu Yechen, with righteous fervor, gazed at Ji Qingzi, his eyes brimming with urgency. Such a stunning woman before him, and he must take his time? Impossible. He swiftly carried Ji Qingzi towards the bedroom, his strides resolute, fearing that this exquisite moment might vanish in an instant. Upon entering the bedroom, Gu Yechen gently laid Ji Qingzi upon the soft bed, leaning down to study her bashful visage. Her delicate features were now tinted with a rosy hue, tempting one to savor her beauty. Ji Qingzi slightly closed her eyes, her long lashes fluttering, her hands gripping the sheets tightly as she awaited the moment's arrival, her body trembling involuntarily. An amalgamation of anticipation, tension, and fear filled her heart. Gu Yechen tenderly kissed her forehead, cheeks, and neck, each kiss infused with affection. His caresses were gentle, yet imbued with fervor, as if he sought to envelop Ji Qingzi in an endless embrace of tenderness. The atmosphere in the room gradually heated, their breaths becoming more rapid. An intoxicating ambience filled the air, ensnaring them in its embrace. Once everything was set, Gu Yechen began to explore, and amidst a muffled groan of pain. The narrative shall be succinctly summarized. 3 hours later, tranquility returned. Ji Qingzi nestled in Gu Yechen's arms, her face radiant with joy. Yet, The physical discomfort she experienced was far from trivial. She had heard that men typically lasted only a few minutes. Yet Gu Yechen had astonished her by enduring for 3 hours. She felt as if she might be incapacitated. From now on, you cannot let me down. Ji Qingzi whispered softly through the pain, her voice laced with a hint of fragility and dependence, uncertain if her choice was wise. Rest assured, as long as you do not betray me, I shall always treat you well, Gu Yechen replied, holding her tightly. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Gu Yechen, having freshened up, departed from Ji Qingzi's villa, embarking on his journey back to Shanghai City. Ji Qingzi remained behind, savoring the sweetness of the recent events. Yet a tinge of loneliness lingered within her. She longed for Gu Yechen to stay a few more days, but alas, it was not to be. Tidying up the disarray of the room, she tucked away the crimson symbol of their first encounter before preparing to address matters at her company. In Shanghai City, at 4 in the afternoon, Gu Yechen had arrived and made his way directly to the Blue Ocean Group. Congratulations to the host for acquiring Ji Qingzi. The target meets the criteria, earning 1 lottery draw. Current count, 5. Gazing at the data, Gu Yechen felt a refreshing surge of satisfaction. Upon arriving at the Blue Ocean Group, he proceeded to Ning Qianxue and Appo's office. Knock, knock, knock. Gu Yechen tapped lightly. Come in, came a cool, authoritative voice from within. Upon entering, Gu Yechen found Ning Qianxue engrossed in her work, her head not lifting as she inquired, "What is it?" Her tone was succinct, exuding the competence of a seasoned professional. Pouring her a glass of water, Gu Yechen remained silent, observing her. Sensing his gaze, Ning Qianxue glanced up and, upon recognizing him, her icy demeanor melted into that of a friendly neighbor, her eyes softening, a gentle smile gracing her lips. "Why didn't you let me know you were coming? I could have come to fetch you." She chided lightly, though her tone was more joyful than reproachful. "Such a short distance, how could I trouble you?" Gu Yechen smiled. His eyes filled with affection as they lingered on Ning Qianxue. "It seems you become more charming in the days we've been apart," she teased, her face alight with mirth. "Are you tired?" Gu Yechen asked, his voice calm, yet laced with concern, his gaze fixed upon her. "Not at all. I've grown accustomed to it," Ning Qianxue replied, shaking her head. Since embarking on her entrepreneurial journey post-graduation, she had immersed herself in work, only recently seeing improvement. A flicker of strength graced her face, yet a subtle hint of fatigue lingered in her eyes. "Allow me to massage your shoulders," Gu Yechen suggested, guiding her to sit in her chair. Then gently kneading her shoulders, the act requiring no expertise, merely a touch of care. "Quite commendable. Considering you've taken my first time and made me do so much in return, this shall serve as your compensation." Ning Qianxue chuckled, her tone playfully reproachful. "Are all of your sister's friends invited to the birthday party?" Gu Yechen inquired, his hands still at work. "Yes, I've extended the invitations." She initially wished to forego the celebration. She is still unaware of where the party will be held. Ning Qianxue beamed with pride, thrilled to help organize the event for Gu Yechen's sister. Gu Yechen embraced Ning Qianxue from behind, resting his head on her shoulder, which caused her to shudder slightly. Nevertheless, she leaned her cheek against his, the two enveloped in a serene silence. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, the world around them reduced to the rhythm of their synchronized breaths and heartbeats. After a minute, Gu Yechen spoke softly, "Shuer, you've worked hard." His voice low and tinged with empathy. "It's nothing, as long as you and Xiao Yan are happy," Ning Qianxue replied with a smile. Gu Yechen recognized he had not shown enough concern for her in recent days. Though she did not voice it, he sensed her desire for more companionship. He turned to face her, their eyes meeting. Slowly, Gu Yechen leaned down. Ning Qianxue, captivated by his handsome features, closed her eyes. Their lips met. Reminiscent of that fateful night when she had been under the influence, the flames of passion igniting her memories of wild abandon. Just as Gu Yechen sought to advance, Ning Qianxue halted him. "Let us save that for tomorrow night with Xiao Yan," she chuckled, continuing, "I am already quite content." A look of satisfaction gleamed in her eyes. Gu Yechen was momentarily speechless, feeling his desire simmer down as he understood Ning Qianxue's perspective. After spending an hour with her at the Blue Ocean Group, he took his leave. He also texted acquaintances, inviting them to the upcoming banquet. At that moment, Gu Yechen's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, noting it was their high school class leader, Li Wenyuan. Frowning slightly, he answered the call, recalling the bond they once shared. "Hello, Wenyuan," Gu Yechen greeted, a smile gracing his face. "Old Gu, the university semester is starting soon. We're having a class reunion tonight at 7 at Yuanhao Hotel. You must come," Li Wenyuan urged, his voice brimming with anticipation. Gu Yechen hesitated for a moment. Class reunion? It had been ages since he had heard such a term. He chuckled, "Sure. I'll be there at 7 sharp." After hanging up, a ripple of nostalgia washed over him. In his previous life, he had never attended such gatherings. It would be refreshing to experience the atmosphere. At 7 in the evening, Gu Yechen arrived punctually at Juanhao Hotel with Xia Yutong. Entering the private room, he was greeted by a lively scene, laughter and chatter resonating throughout. "Gu Yechen, long time no see." As soon as he stepped inside, numerous voices called out to him. "Old Gu, You still look as dashing as ever. His classmates greeted him warmly, and he reciprocated with a smile. Wow, Summer Scholar is here too. And with old Gu. No wonder you were late. Laughter erupted, causing Xia Yutong's cheeks to flush slightly. Li Wenyuan approached, patting Gu Yechen on the shoulder. Old Gu. We were just waiting for you too. Come, have a seat. Chapter 249. Gathering conflict. Gu Yechen graciously pulled out a chair for Xia Yutong, and after they were seated, Li Wenyuan signaled the waiter to serve the dishes. Thank you, Xia Yutong said, her cheeks flushed with a charming blush reminiscent of blooming peach blossoms. Even the most oblivious could discern that the relationship between Gu Yechen and Xia Yutong was extraordinary. The exchange of glances and subtle gestures exuded an indescribable intimacy. We need not speak such words between us, Gu Yechen smiled, his gaze soft as water yet fervent as fire, rendering Xia Yutong somewhat hesitant to meet his eyes. Soon, an array of dishes and drinks adorned the table. As the class monitor, Li Wenyuan filled everyone's glasses and proclaimed, Dear classmates, as the school year approaches, opportunities to gather will dwindle. Let us enjoy ourselves tonight. Here's to all of us. May we ascend to new heights in our university lives. His voice was spirited and full of enthusiasm, igniting excitement among everyone present for the new chapter ahead. Almost all of their classmates had secured university admissions, with only a few destined for vocational schools, leaving no room for discontent. Upon hearing Li Wenyuan's words, excitement surged through the group, and they all raised their glasses in unison, downing their drinks. Even Xia Yutong, who typically abstained, joined in for a toast. A rosy hue graced her cheeks, enhancing her enchanting allure. Now, let us feast. Afterwards, we shall go sing, Li Wenyuan cheerfully announced, prompting everyone to dig into the meal. The atmosphere at the table was vibrant, filled with laughter and shared joy among classmates. Old Gu, you should be heading to Kyoto with the study goddess Xia in 2 days, right? Gu Yechen's close friend, Wang Tian, said with a grin, his eyes twinkling with playful mischief. Yes, we are going together, Gu Yechen replied nonchalantly, as if it were the most ordinary matter. Xia Yutong's cheeks reddened further. After all, in the eyes of their peers, she was a studious, aloof girl, and her newfound closeness with Gu Yechen made her feel slightly embarrassed. Old Gu, I hear you've made quite a name for yourself. Who would have thought you'd become the owner of such a prestigious hotel as Shui Yuxian? Someone exclaimed, their tone laced with envy and admiration. Indeed, we saw the news online and initially thought it was a hoax, but it turns out to be true. You are the most impressive among us now. Another classmate chimed in, their voice brimming with respect. Gu Yechen paid little heed to the flattery surrounding him. Instead, he scanned the room, noticing their homeroom teacher was absent. He turned to Li Wenyuan, asking, where's our teacher? I inquired, and he nodded Shanghai. He is in Modu. He is traveling across the country, but he just arrived in Modu, Li Wenyuan replied with a smile. Ah, I didn't realize our teacher had such interests, Wang Tian remarked, taking a swig of his drink in a light-hearted manner. Seizing the opportunity to explore the splendid landscapes of our nation is indeed commendable, Gu Yechen stated calmly, and others nodded in agreement, acknowledging the allure of traveling throughout China. Too bad the author's writing skills are lacking. Earning only 2,000 a month isn't enough to traverse the beautiful scenery, someone lamented. Old Gu, remember to take care of us if you get the chance, a man interjected. He was one of the few in their class destined for vocational school, named Zhao Go, along with a few others who associated with him. Gu Yechen looked at him and smiled, saying, my principle is character first, ability second, the rest is secondary. If someone possesses great ability but lacks integrity, I have no use for them. His tone was calm, yet his gaze bore the weight of authority. Gu Yechen's implication was clear, hinting at those who had bullied the original owner of his body. Having just graduated, he had chosen to overlook their past misdeeds. Yet it was audacious for them to expect his assistance. Zhao Go's expression soured after Gu Yechen's veiled remark, his face flushed with anger yet helplessness. For Gu Yechen was no longer an ordinary individual. His face reddened, eyes glimmering with fury, but he dared not retaliate. At that moment, the door was kicked open, and a group of drunken men stumbled into the private room, each towering and seemingly possessing some martial prowess. Their entrance froze the previously lively atmosphere. Wow, so many beauties. The group scanned the room with lecherous gazes, making everyone feel deeply uncomfortable. Suddenly, one of them spotted Xia Yutong and halted, a delighted grin spreading across his face. He belched and unsteadily approached her. Upon witnessing this, all the classmates stood up, including those Zhao Go had been subtly alluding to. Yet, under the collective gaze, they approached the newcomers. Dao Go, Zhao Go exclaimed, his voice quivering with fear and ingratiation. The leader of the group paused and asked, what are you doing here? It's our class gathering today. I was wondering if we could. His sentence was abruptly interrupted by Dao Go, who demanded, what is that girl's name? Pointing at Xia Yutong, his eyes filled with greed and desire. Zhao Go, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze, hesitated. Dao Go, could you do me a favor? His voice trembled, beads of cold sweat forming on his forehead. Hearing this, Dao Go and Appos, face contorted with anger, his inebriation lifting slightly. Faced with a beautiful woman. How could he let this opportunity slip? He slapped Zhao Go across the face. What favor do you have? Have you lost your mind? How dare you negotiate with me? Dao Ge sneered, his voice booming, reverberating throughout the room. Zhao Go, having been struck, felt a wave of humiliation wash over him. Blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. What is her name? Perhaps I'll let you choose a girl to play with slowly right here. Dao Ge chuckled, his laughter dripping with filth. Enduring the sting of pain on his face, Zhao Go finally stammered. Her name is Xia Yutong, our class goddess, the school S-Bell. His voice was barely audible, as if he had expended all his strength. Zhao Go, have you lost your humanity? How could you collude with others against your classmates? Li Wenyuan shouted in fury, his face pale, eyes ablaze with rage. Zhao Go remained silent, while Dao Ge chuckled. Xia Yutong. What a lovely name. If I could spend the night with her, that would be even better. He sauntered towards Xia Yutong, his vile demeanor making one feel nauseous. Gu Yechen, witnessing this scene, stood up and positioned himself protectively in front of Xia Yutong, coldly asserting, what do you intend to do? His gaze radiated a chilling aura, daring anyone to meet his stare. Kid, be smart and get lost. Don't ruin my fun. Dao Ge snarled. Gu Yechen smiled faintly, retorting, that depends on how sturdy your head is. Upon hearing this, Dao Gu's expression darkened. Humph, refusing a toast and opting for punishment. Seize him. Chapter 250. Do you wish to kill me? However, as soon as his words fell, he noticed the staggering figures behind him. The sight of the dozen or so individuals trailing him darkened his expression, causing him to feel a profound embarrassment for the inadequacy of his companions. Do you wish to kill me? Gu Yechen chuckled, though there was an unsettling chill in his laughter, akin to a predator stalking its prey. His gaze was as frigid as a frozen lake, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to meet it. I may not kill you, but I, Li Dao, will ensure you wish you were dead. Li Dao smirked, his confidence soaring as he regarded Xia Yutong as his own. With Gu Yechen standing in his way, he considered it merely a matter of eliminating the obstacle. His tone dripped with arrogance. Upon hearing their words, the classmates felt a wave of unease wash over them. After all, the individuals before them were known troublemakers, capable of inflicting real harm. Some had discreetly called the police, while others had contacted hotel security. Anxiety gripped the students as they huddled together, their eyes fixated on the unfolding drama. Oh, are you certain, you imbecile, that you possess the capability? Gu Yechen smiled faintly, having encountered far too many threats in his lifetime. The audacity of someone wishing for his demise inspired a mocking tone in his voice. As a seventh-tier martial artist, he viewed the people before him as mere jesters. Upon being labeled a fool by Gu Yechen, Li Dao erupted in rage. Seizing a bottle and hurling it towards Gu Yechen with ferocity, his eyes ablaze with fury. Yet, to Gu Yechen, the movement seemed as though time had slowed. He remained unfazed, for Li Dao was no match for him. With a calm demeanor, he focused his gaze, and as the bottle neared, he effortlessly grasped it, leaving everyone in the room wide-eyed in astonishment. In that fleeting moment, it felt as if time had frozen, all present taken aback by Gu Yechen's remarkable reflexes and precision. Li Dao swallowed hard, a flicker of fear igniting within him. Who was he to provoke someone capable of seizing a flying bottle? A wave of trepidation washed over him, realizing he may have bitten off more than he could chew. You are utterly inept. Gu Yechen chuckled, then retaliated by smashing the bottle back at Li Dao's chest with a force that sent him staggering back several steps. The impact caused his chest to cave in, a sickening crack echoing as blood erupted from his mouth, his face a mask of terror. The sheer power behind the blow was chilling. Li Dao felt as though he had been struck by a speeding truck, his body uncontrollably propelled backward. Big brother. Many of the onlookers gasped in alarm, unable to comprehend how Li Dao could be left bloodied by a single blow. Their voices were laced with panic, the earlier bravado evaporating in an instant. You dare strike Brother Dao? You seek death. With that, another rushed at Gu Yechen, too late for Li Dao to intervene. The assailant's eyes burned with rage, as if he had lost all sense of reason. Gu Yechen shook his head, remarking, why do some individuals seem intent on courting death? Without hesitation, he delivered a single punch to the charging thug and Appo's chest, resulting in a fatal blow that shattered his ribcage. If not for Gu Yechen and Appo's restraint, the impact would have been lethal. The atmosphere turned eerily silent. The spectators left in stunned disbelief. Overestimating your capabilities. Thinking you could charge at me with any semblance of strength, Gu Yechen dismissed the fallen foe with a wave of his hand, his expression revealing utter disdain. To him, it was akin to swatting an annoying fly. Sir, we were foolish and unintentionally offended you. Please, have mercy. Li Dao, now acutely aware of Gu Yechen's formidable power, trembled in fear. Oh, where has your bravado gone? Weren't you quite arrogant just moments ago? Now you resemble a coward. Wang Tian guffawed, laughter echoing throughout the room. The onlookers were taken aback by Gu Yechen's prowess and the rapid transformation of their adversaries into quaking figures, restoring a sense of confidence among the classmates. Their earlier fears dissipating. Gu Yechen wrapped his arm around Xia Yutong's slender waist, directing his attention to Li Dao. Were you inquiring about her name just now? His tone was commanding, causing Li Dao to tremble visibly. Xia Yutong blushed fiercely as Gu Yechen embraced her in front of their classmates, taken aback by his audacity. A mix of joy, embarrassment, and an inexplicable sense of security washed over her. Witnessing Gu Yechen's hand resting on Xia Yutong's delicate waist, Li Dao's heart sank into despair. He realized he had made a grave error and foresaw the impending consequences. At that moment, hotel security burst into the room, and upon witnessing the scene, they were momentarily dumbfounded, the ruckus having seemingly quelled. They had anticipated a violent confrontation but found the situation under control. Hotel owner Su Juanhao arrived promptly, his body trembling upon recognizing Gu Yechen. He hadn't expected to encounter him again, a wave of resignation washing over him. Mr. Gu, what a surprise to see you here. Su Juanhao smiled, though his expression bore the weight of exasperation. Boss Su, your security is lacking. Had I not been present, they might have succeeded. Gu Yechen chuckled lightly, his words tinged with playful mockery, further deepening Su Juanhao's discomfort. Rest assured, Mr. Gu, we rushed here at the earliest opportunity. There will be no issues, Su Juanhao thought to himself, wishing fervently for Gu Yechen to depart. He remembered all too well the last time Gu Yechen had graced the hotel with his presence, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. And he understood that Gu Yechen was no ordinary individual. Chapter 251, A Fatal Step. Mr. Gu, what do you wish to do with these people? Su Juanhao inquired cautiously, his eyes reflecting a hint of apprehension. He was uncertain of Gu Yechen's intentions regarding the individuals before them, and silently hoped that no bloodshed would occur within his hotel. You seem a bit afraid, Gu Yechen remarked, raising an eyebrow in surprise as his gaze swept across Su Juanhao's face. He was bewildered by Su Juanhao's trepidation, convinced he had not overstepped any bounds. Mr. Gu, my small business has already suffered a significant loss last time. Could we possibly handle this outside? Su Juanhao forced a smile, though it was tinged with desperation, hoping Gu Yechen would understand his plight. Gu Yechen cast him a glance and replied coldly, very well. Escort them out of here. They are an eyesore. Su Juanhao nodded eagerly, feeling as though he had just been granted a reprieve, and quickly summoned security to remove Li Dao and the others, including several toxic individuals from Gu Yechen's class. At that moment, Gu Yechen stepped forward and closed the door behind him. He approached Li Dao and, without hesitation, delivered a fatal kick, marking the end of any intent to harm Xia Yutong. His movements were swift and ruthless, devoid of any second thoughts. Having completed this grim task, Gu Yechen turned his icy gaze towards Zhao Guo and the others, who had just uttered Xia Yutong's name. His eyes were filled with a chilling malice that seemed to freeze the air around them, instilling fear in their hearts. However, rather than ending their lives, he shattered their limbs, inflicting injuries that would never heal. The decisive nature of his actions caused gasps of shock from those present. Su Juanhao, witnessing the scene, instinctively recoiled. Well aware of Gu Yechen's cruelty, his complexion drained and cold sweat beading on his forehead. Classmates, let us continue. Do not allow these individuals to dampen our spirits, Gu Yechen declared, returning to the private room with a bright smile, as if the preceding bloodshed had never transpired. His classmates responded enthusiastically, and the atmosphere in the room quickly regained its lively spirit. They seemed to collectively forget the earlier horror, striving to immerse themselves in joy. After dinner, everyone headed to the Royal Dynasty KTV for singing. The establishment ranked among the top 10 in Shanghai, boasting a grand scale. Upon arrival, Gu Yechen also drove over. As he had no fear of drinking and driving, he could instantly evaporate any alcohol in his system. Old Gu, aren't you worried about drinking and driving? Someone inquired, a note of concern in their voice. In my case, that concern is unfounded, Gu Yechen shrugged, a hint of amusement on his face. At that moment, several police officers pulled up beside them, stating, Are you Gu Yechen? Their expressions were grave, their gaze fixed intently on him. Gu Yechen frowned slightly, pondering why the police would seek him out. Surely they were not calling upon him to solve a case? Confusion clouded his thoughts. We received a report of you driving under the influence. Please cooperate with our inspection, one officer stated sternly, displaying his badge. Gu Yechen blew into the breathalyzer, which indicated normal levels. He had already utilized his martial prowess to eliminate any alcohol from his bloodstream while in the car, even if he had been intoxicated. His affiliation with the Dragon team ensured his safety. What do you think? Gu Yechen smiled, though his expression carried an undercurrent of frostiness, his dissatisfaction with the baseless report evident. Thank you for your cooperation, the officers remarked, retracting the device before departing. At that moment, Gu Yechen addressed them. May I inquire as to who reported me for drinking and driving? His tone bore a hint of accusation. The officers, sensing the shift in his demeanor, refrained from disclosing the informant's identity. Mr. Gu, we cannot disclose that information. We hope for your understanding. However, we will penalize anyone who files a false report. Gu Yechen nodded, indifferent to the identity of the informant, as long as they remained anonymous. A flicker of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. Upon entering the Royal Dynasty KTV, they were promptly greeted. "Welcome. Do you have a reservation?" A woman in a work uniform asked, her smile both sweet and professional. "Room 703, under Li Wenyuan," came the response. The woman immediately gestured for them to follow and led them to room 703, her steps light and her service impeccable. "Welcome to room 703. Shortly, we will bring in 2 fruit platters. If you need anything, please let us know. We hope you enjoy your time." With that, she exited, and soon after, 2 male attendants entered with the promised platters. Laughter and cheer filled the room as everyone eagerly prepared to sing. However, things took a turn, especially for Wang Tian, whose horrendous singing nearly made everyone lose their dinner. His discordant voice prompted the others to cover their ears, not wanting to meet an early demise. Gu Yechen and Xia Yutong sat together in a dimly lit corner, the ambience inviting. Others seemed to possess the foresight to keep their distance, leaving the pair in relative solitude. Xia Yutong's cheeks flushed, though the dim lighting concealed it well. Gu Yechen held her hand, gently squeezing it, the delicate sensation causing her to feel bashful. "Gu, why don't you and Xia Jie sing a duet?" someone suggested, which was met with enthusiastic agreement from the group. They began to cheer, eagerly anticipating their performance. Gu Yechen looked at Xia Yutong with affectionate tenderness, asking, "What would you like to sing?" His voice was soft and rich with charm. Xia Yutong met his gaze and saw the unique warmth that only Gu Yechen possessed. His intense yet gentle look felt as if it could melt her. "Little dimple," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. As the music began, Gu Yechen and Xia Yutong took the microphone, their voices intertwining in a melody filled with sweetness and warmth. The audience listened intently, captivated by their harmonious performance. Once they finished, applause erupted, accompanied by shouts for an encore. Gu Yechen and Xia Yutong exchanged smiles and chose another love song to sing together. In the midst of this joyous atmosphere, time slipped away unnoticed. Suddenly, Gu Yechen's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, frowning slightly upon recognizing it as a call from Su Yan's bodyguard. "I'll step outside to take this call," he said to Xia Yutong before exiting the room. On the other end, an urgent voice conveyed that there was a pressing matter requiring his attention. After hanging up, Gu Yechen returned to the room and addressed everyone. "I apologize, but I have an urgent matter to attend to. Please enjoy yourselves tonight. It and amp. Oppos. S all on me." He tossed a card to Wang Tian. "Yutong, you should come with me," he said, taking her hand as they departed, unwilling to leave her alone in the KTV. Chapter 252. Su Yan encounters an attack. Gu Yechen accelerated in his Bugatti Chiron, the roar of the engine reverberating through the night sky. Xia Yutong, seated in the passenger seat, felt a surge of anxiety. Something had shifted in Gu Yechen after he received a phone call. The soft glow from the car's interior illuminated her delicate features, which now bore an expression of unease as her hands clutched the seatbelt tightly. As Gu Yechen drove Xia Yutong home, she spoke softly. "Thank you for today." Her voice was tender, laced with a hint of apprehension. "There's no need for formality between us," Gu Yechen replied, ruffling her hair with a gentle smile. His eyes remained fixed on the road ahead. Yet Xia Yutong sensed an unusual tension in his demeanor. His brow furrowed slightly, and a flicker of anxiety danced in his gaze. "You truly frightened me during that fight. Please remember to protect yourself in the future," Xia Yutong said softly, concern radiating from her eyes. "I will not allow anyone to harm you," Gu Yechen assured her, his tone steady and calm. Xia Yutong felt a wave of emotion. It would be disingenuous to claim she was unaffected. A ripple of indescribable security washed over her heart. Before long, the vehicle came to a halt in front of Xia Yutong's home. Gu Yechen turned to her, saying, "Go inside and rest well." His voice was deep and soothing. "Be careful too, and take care of yourself," Xia Yutong replied, her gaze filled with worry as she looked at Gu Yechen. After he entered the car, he waved goodbye and pressed the accelerator, swiftly vanishing into the night. The tires screeched against the pavement, a sharp sound in the stillness. Inside the car, Gu Yechen dialed Su Yan's bodyguard. "What is the situation?" His tone was composed, yet a slight depth in his breath revealed his underlying tension. "Everything is fine for now. President Su is unharmed," came the weary voice from the other end. However, the news struck like a thunderbolt. Su Yan had been attacked, shot at, and a bodyguard had been injured while attempting to protect her, his fate uncertain. Gu Yechen's expression darkened instantly, his eyes glinting with ferocity as he accelerated towards Su Yan's location, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "President Su, are you all right?" a bodyguard inquired, observing her anxious demeanor. His voice trembled, filled with worry. Su Yan surveyed her surroundings. They were being watched. 2 formidable assailants, armed and dangerous, were targeting them, leaving them with no choice but to hide and wait. Her expression was grave, yet resolute and composed. "Who are they?" Su Yan demanded, her voice low and serious. "I couldn't see clearly, but they appeared to be foreigners, skilled and undoubtedly here for your beauty formula," replied the bodyguard, his breath quickening. Sweat beading on his forehead. Suyin nodded, a surge of anger rising within her. She had anticipated this, but never imagined it would be foreigners seeking to steal the formula. This secret was Gu Yechen's labor of love, and she would never allow it to fall into the wrong hands. Our situation is precarious. We don't know if they've left. They likely won't depart easily since they haven't obtained what they desire. If discovered, we would be in grave danger, Su Yin stated firmly. She would not let Gu Yechen's trust in her be betrayed, even if it meant sacrificing the formula. I've already informed Mr. Gu about the situation. He's on his way and will have a plan, the bodyguard continued, a glimmer of hope flickering in his eyes. Su Yin whirled around, her eyes reddening. Who permitted you to call him? She exclaimed. They have guns. No matter how capable Ah Chun is, he cannot confront armed assailants. Her voice was tinged with anger. She did not want Gu Yechen to be thrust into danger. Though she understood the bodyguard's good intentions, the thought of Gu Yechen getting hurt was unbearable. Swiftly, she retrieved her phone and called Gu Yechen. Upon hearing his familiar voice, he paused momentarily. Are you all right? Gu Yechen asked, his tone calm, yet betraying his concern. I and Appos, am fine. Don and Appos, T come lit and Appos, as too dangerous, Su Yin urged, her voice quivering with anxiety. Focus on keeping yourself safe. I will be there shortly, he replied without hesitation. Then dialed Han Zhong. Uncle Han, foreign intruders have infiltrated Shanghai City, intent on stealing the beauty elixir formula. They are armed and skilled. I am en route. Gu Yechen spoke coolly, maintaining his speed. What? Han Zhong, previously asleep, was instantly alert. After confirming the location, he promptly notified the armed police and reported to the provincial committee for further escalation. Upon receiving Han Zhong and Appos' notification, the local armed forces recognized the gravity of the situation, dispatching a special operations team to the scene while simultaneously informing higher military authorities. Their response was swift and discreet, showcasing exceptional professionalism and combat readiness. Gu Yechen halted his vehicle 200 meters from Su Yan's location. Cloaked in darkness, he blended seamlessly into the night, steadily approaching the area indicated by the bodyguard. Chapter 253. Overreaching before long, Gu Yechen arrived at the location indicated by the bodyguard. He spotted a foreign man, armed and surreptitiously searching for something. Gu Yechen's expression hardened. At this moment, the man with the gun could only be part of the group that had attacked Su Yan. His face darkened like an overcast sky, and a fierce killing intent flickered in his eyes. Then, with a smile, Gu Yechen casually whistled as he stepped forward, calling out, Hey, foreigner. What are you looking for? You do know that firearms are banned in our country, right? His tone was light and teasing, imbued with a nonchalant bravado, as if he were joking with an old friend, seemingly oblivious to the weapon in the foreigner's hand. The foreigner, taken aback upon seeing Gu Yechen, was puzzled. Shouldn't a normal person flee in such a situation? Why was this individual approaching instead? Confusion filled his gaze as he gripped his firearm even tighter, eyes wary, fearing that a single misstep might lead him to meet his demise. You're not afraid of me? The foreigner asked in halting Mandarin, surprise evident in his voice. His brow furrowed as he searched Gu Yechen's expression for clues. I and Appos, V come to kill you. Why would I fear you? Gu Yechen shrugged, an air of irreverence about him, for there was nothing at that moment that could instill fear in him. He could do as he pleased, unconcerned by anyone. You're quite arrogant, young man. With that, the foreigner fired a shot directly at Gu Yechen. Bang! The sound of the gunshot shattered the stillness of the night, causing Su Yan, within the room, to freeze momentarily. Her heartbeat ceased, and time seemed to stand still in that instant. Yechen? Could it be? A sudden pang of pain gripped Su Yan's heart, as if an invisible hand had tightened its hold. Her complexion turned pale, and her body trembled involuntarily. However, Gu Yechen did not flinch. Instead, he raised his hand and grasped the bullet mid-flight, catching it effortlessly. The foreigner, as if seeing a ghost, attempted to flee. But Gu Yechen flicked the bullet away, striking his thigh and rendering him immobile. His movements were swift as lightning, a blur to the eye. The precision of his judgment and the rapidity of his response were nothing short of astounding. The special operations team, arriving covertly, witnessed the scene with wide eyes, utterly incredulous. The young man before them had reached the level of a 7th-tier warrior, capable of catching bullets. They were filled with awe at Gu Yechen's prowess, especially given his mere 18 years of age. Gu Yechen approached the wounded foreigner, his gaze as frigid as frost, each step seemingly chilling the air around him. Speak, who sent you? His voice was low, like thunder rumbling in the distance, imbued with a lethal intent that exuded an invisible pressure, causing the injured foreigner to tremble uncontrollably. Though fear gripped him, the foreigner clenched his jaw, remaining silent, his eyes betraying profound terror. At that moment, another foreigner suddenly emerged from the shadows, aiming his weapon at Gu Yechen, ready to fire. Gu Yechen reacted swiftly, sidestepping while delivering a kick aimed at the man's wrist. He used only 20% of his strength, yet the foreigner managed to evade it in an instant. Another warrior? Gu Yechen had expected someone as inept as the one on the ground. His eyes narrowed slightly, a hint of caution blooming within him. Overreaching. Gu Yechen scoffed coldly, preparing to retaliate. Bang! The crack of a sniper rifle rang out, instantly severing the foreigner's arm. It was the special operations team making their move. They rushed forward, subduing the two foreigners. Mr. Gu, is it? We're from the armed police force. We received the alert and came immediately. We owe you our gratitude. The team leader said, a smile on his face. Thank you all. Gu Yechen smiled, performing a slight bow to the members of the special operations team. His demeanor exuding a sense of grandeur. I have matters to attend to, so I must take my leave. He then entered the room, relief washing over him upon seeing Su Yin unharmed. His gaze softened with tenderness. Darling, it's all right now, Gu Yechen whispered, pulling Su Yin into his embrace. Holding her tightly, as if he wished to meld her into his very being. Overcome with emotion, Su Yin began to weep. The tension and fear of the previous moments now released. Her tears soaked Gu Yechen's clothing as she clung tightly to his back. I thought I would never see you again. After a moment of crying, Su Yin gradually quieted, her voice tinged with hoarseness and fragility. Let us go? Gu Yechen said nothing further, lifting Su Yin effortlessly in a princess carried toward his sports car, his movements gentle, as though afraid to harm her delicate form. The special operations team led the captured individuals away. Their fate was likely sealed. The team leader had intended to converse with Gu Yechen, but upon turning, he only heard the roar of the engine as the vehicle sped away from the scene. Zhang Wei, what is the situation? At that moment, the commander of the Guangdong Provincial Armed Police Force inquired, his voice resonating with authority. Commander, the targets have been apprehended. They were armed with 2 handguns. All of them warriors, Zhang Wei reported solemnly. Bring them back, the commander instructed, a hint of contemplation flickering in his eyes. Understood, Zhang Wei replied with gravity, promptly escorting the prisoners away. At the British-style residence, Gu Yechen brought Su Yin home, aware that she must have been frightened. He decided to keep her close for the night. Are you scared? Upon arriving home, Gu Yechen poured Su Yin a glass of juice. Taking her hand and sitting on the sofa, his face radiating warmth. His gaze was filled with tenderness as he gently stroked her hair. Thinking of you makes me fearless. I was prepared to face death, but thankfully you appeared just in time. Su Yin rested her head against Gu Yechen's strong chest, greedily absorbing the rhythm of his heartbeat, nearly overwhelmed by it. Her voice carried a hint of satisfaction. From now on, don't say such things. If anything happens, you must let me know immediately. I cannot bear the thought of seeing your lifeless body. Gu Yechen playfully flicked Su Yin's forehead, feigning annoyance. Though his eyes brimmed with affection, Su Yin lifted her gaze, her eyes glistening with tears as she looked at Gu Yechen. Yechen, I won't let you worry again. Gu Yechen gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, saying, all right, no more crying. Get a good night's sleep tonight. Don't think of anything. Su Yin nodded, and Gu Yechen carried her into the bathroom, helping her bathe as she blushed and dared not look at him, allowing him to tend to her like a doll. After her bath, the night was deep, the moon casting a gentle glow. Gu Yechen tucked her under the covers, sitting by her side for a while until she gradually succumbed to slumber. The night passed peacefully without incident. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the room. Su Yin awoke to find herself nestled in Gu Yechen and Appo's embrace, her heart brimming with gratitude. Awake? Gu Yechen gently caressed her cheek, smiling. Chapter 254. Establishing a charitable foundation. Su Yin rose from Gu Yechen and Appo's embrace, rubbing her eyes and stretching lazily. The sunlight fell upon her, illuminating her figure as she wore a delicate lace nightgown. In that moment, her flawless silhouette was subtly revealed, the gossamer fabric accentuating her graceful curves, provoking flights of fancy in the beholder. Gu Yechen involuntarily swallowed hard. Despite their previous intimate encounters, this sight ignited a primal response within him. The allure was simply overwhelming. After all, he was a normal man in the bloom of youth. It was not that he lacked self-control, but with such a stunning woman before him, how could he not indulge in such thoughts? Realizing this, Gu Yechen took a deep breath, channeling his inner strength to quell the rising heat. A sheen of sweat broke on his brow, and he chuckled inwardly, grateful for his considerable resolve. I need to freshen up before heading to the company, Su Yin said, planting a soft kiss on Gu Yechen and Appo's cheek, her smile radiating warmth. A faint, enticing fragrance enveloped her, enhancing her intellectual charm. Go ahead, Gu Yechen replied, his thoughts drifting to the evening and Appo's banquet. A sense of joy washed over him, for Jiang Qingyan was not only his beloved but also, in name, his sister by no blood relation. A glimmer of anticipation flickered in his gaze. Upon reaching downstairs, Gu Yechen prepared 2 breakfasts and poured 2 glasses of milk before attending to his own grooming. When Su Yin arrived on the first floor, her heart swelled with sweetness at the sight of the breakfast he had prepared. Perhaps this was the essence of life. A smile graced her lips, brimming with happiness. After their meal, Gu Yechen escorted Su Yin to her workplace before making his way to Yunding Building. Throughout his journey, his mind was busy calculating the current situation. With 4 lottery chances remaining, he was certain there were still numerous treasures to be found. Since he lacked for nothing personally, he resolved to establish a foundation to assist those in need, recalling his own humble origins. His expression was relaxed, his thoughts already forming a clear plan. Upon arriving at the office, Gu Yechen entered his private chamber. Xiaoko promptly approached him, urgency evident in her tone. Director Gu, Shin Yinchuan from the Shun Group has recently targeted our Shuyuexuan hotel. Shin Yinchuan? Gu Yechen paused, recalling that Shun Yinchuan had previously attempted to undermine him. It seemed he would need to pay a visit, and it was imperative to render him incapacitated. A steely glint crossed his eyes. He had almost forgotten about him, only to be confronted by his audacity once more. Notify the financial director to come here. Inform him that I require his assistance, Gu Yechen instructed. His voice calm, yet imbued with an authority uncommon for his age. Before long, a young man in his mid-30s burst into the office, breathless. Director Gu, you called for me? Financial Director Zhang Shannon inquired, beads of sweat glistening on his forehead, revealing his hurried arrival. Director Zhang, I wish to establish a charitable foundation under the company's name. I entrust this matter to your department. For families in dire need, especially those receiving treatment in Guangdong province, we will provide financial support upon verification, Gu Yechen stated, his demeanor composed. Zhang Shannon was momentarily taken aback, realizing the magnitude of the undertaking. Director Gu, this is no small sum. Are you certain you wish to proceed in this manner? Gu Yechen nodded affirmatively. What about families in hardship? Zhang Shannon asked. As long as they can prove their circumstances, we can provide funds for their children to attend university, with the stipulation that only those with commendable academic performance will qualify. Gu Yechen replied, viewing these individuals as potential assets for the company, likely to be absorbed into Feiyue Group upon graduation. His decision was not impulsive, but rather a well-considered initiative. Zhang Shannon nodded, though he remained skeptical of Gu Yechen and Appo's motives. Director Gu, may I ask why you are undertaking this? Gu Yechen stood, walking to the floor-to-ceiling window. From the people, to the people, I was once one of them. His voice resonated with depth and strength, his gaze fixed on the horizon as if he could perceive those in need of assistance. With a wave of his hand, he signaled Zhang Shannon to depart. Zhang Shannon left, thoughtful, his admiration for Gu Yechen deepening. Not everyone possessed such boldness. Gu Yechen took out his phone and dialed Su Haoran, intending to enlist his help in procuring some fireworks. Hello, Brother Gu. Su Haoran's jovial voice came through, as boisterous as ever. Brother Su, do you happen to know anyone who sells fireworks? Gu Yechen inquired with a smile. Of course. How many do you need? Su Haoran responded with enthusiasm. I need them by 6 this evening. Whatever quantity you can manage, ideally for display until the next day, Gu Yechen said, his thoughts drifting to Jiang Qingyan, a smile creeping onto his lips as he envisioned her surprised expression. Leave it to me, Su Haoran assured him. All right, thank you. Gu Yechen hung up and pressed a button on his desk. Before long, Xiaoko re-entered the room. Xiaoko, I need you to assist me with something. Gu Yechen said, continuing, I want all the display screens in Xinghai Tower to showcase a specific message. Xiaoko paused, quickly pulling out her notebook and pen. Director Gu, what should the message say? Happy birthday to Jiang Qingyan. Gu Yechen will love you forever. Gu Yechen chuckled, feeling a shiver run down his spine after uttering those words. Xiaoko stared at him, astonished. She had not anticipated such romanticism from her boss, though she noted that his methods were somewhat outdated. Director Gu, you are truly romantic. You have done well. Your salary is doubled, Gu Yechen declared, immediately calling to adjust her pay. Chapter 255. The Versatile Talent. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, Xiaoko was momentarily taken aback. She had merely uttered a single phrase, yet her salary was doubled. This unexpected delight left her momentarily disoriented. How could it be so wonderful? Thank you, Chairman Gu, Xiaoko exclaimed, her face flushed with excitement. After a deep bow, she hurriedly exited, her steps light and swift, as if fearing that Gu Yechen might change his mind. She was eager to make a call to arrange for the LED screen outside the office building. Gu Yechen watched Xiaoko's retreating figure, shaking his head with a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. After finishing a cup of coffee, he made his way to the Human Resources Department, intent on discovering some promising candidates. Outside the interview room, a number of individuals awaited their turn. The atmosphere was thick with tension and anticipation, as everyone hoped to stand out in this round of interviews. Gu Yechen entered through the inner door, making his way directly to the room behind the interviewers. Chairman Gu, what brings you here? A woman asked nervously, her voice trembling and her expression suddenly reserved. Nothing much. Just here to see if there are any promising candidates, Gu Yechen replied with a gentle smile. Settling into a chair, he quietly observed the interviewees outside, his keen gaze penetrating beyond the surface to discern each individual's latent potential. The first candidate entered, visibly anxious as he introduced himself. His voice quivered, his eyes darted, and his hands fidgeted with the hem of his clothing. Gu Yechen frowned slightly, silently shaking his head. This individual clearly lacked confidence and composure, struggling even with a simple inquiry. The second candidate fared somewhat better, yet still fell short of Gu Yechen's expectations. While he articulated his responses with a degree of clarity, he lacked innovative thinking and depth of insight. One by one, candidates entered and exited, but Gu Yechen's expression grew increasingly serious as disappointment settled within him. Just then, a young man walked in, his steps steady, his gaze resolute, exuding an air of confidence and composure. Gu Yechen's interest was piqued, and he thought to himself, "System, display the profile of this young man." Deducting 100 million huabi, querying the system. Name, Su Jitsai. Age, 27. Physique, 50. Normal maximum is 50. Excluding martial artists. Education, doctorate skills, comprehensive expertise in electronic information. Upon reading Su Jitsai's information, Gu Yechen felt a surge of excitement. He had not anticipated encountering such a polymath. A 27-year-old PhD was certainly no ordinary individual. His heart swelled with anticipation. As the interviewer glanced at Su Jitsai's resume, his eyes widened in astonishment, only to exhale in relief moments later. "You've passed," the interviewer announced, a hint of surprise and satisfaction in his voice. Su Jitsai remained composed, as if this outcome was entirely expected. His expression was calm, devoid of arrogance or self-satisfaction. "Thank you," he replied, his voice deep and confident. "Wait a moment," the interviewer said as the door to the meeting room swung open and Gu Yechen stepped out, his gaze fixed intently on Su Jitsai, as though he had discovered an uncut gem. "Mr. Gu," Su Jitsai called, his tone shifting slightly. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes before he regained his composure. "Chairman Gu," a female interviewer exclaimed, rising with palpable excitement, her cheeks flushed with admiration for Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen nodded. "Come with me. I have a few matters I wish to discuss with you," he said with a smile, turning to Su Jitsai. "Certainly," Su Jitsai replied without hesitation, intrigued by the prospect of a conversation with such a prominent figure in Shanghai City. As they departed, the two interviewers breathed a sigh of relief, settling back into their seats, sipping water to regain their composure. "I never expected Chairman Gu to be here," one remarked, her tone laced with disbelief. "Indeed, and I certainly didn't foresee him taking that candidate with him," the other agreed. Meanwhile, in Gu Yechen's office, he poured a glass of water for Su Jitsai. "I would like to know why you chose to come to our company," he inquired, his demeanor friendly, hoping to uncover Su Jitsai's genuine thoughts. "Financial resources enable me to conduct more research," Su Jitsai replied calmly, his gaze unwavering, revealing no hesitation or pretense. "Oh, how did you come to know that our company is financially robust?" Gu Yechen asked, a glimmer of curiosity in his eyes, eager to delve deeper into Su Jitsai and Apos' perspective. "I have researched the companies under Mr. Gu and Apos' name, discovering numerous technology firms. Thus, I surmised that Mr. Gu places significant value on the tech sector. Which is why I applied," Su Jitsai explained, his expression unperturbed. His eyes sparkled with respect and enthusiasm for technology, underscoring his dedication to the field. "How can I support your endeavors?" Gu Yechen inquired, tapping his fingers rhythmically against the table, the sound resonating crisply in the quiet office. Su Jitsai's heart raced with excitement upon hearing Gu Yechen's question, for it indicated that the chairman recognized his potential. His eyes gleamed with anticipation. "I require a dedicated department for my research, along with ample funding and personnel," he stated firmly. Gu Yechen fell into contemplation, aware of Su Jitsai's talent, but also mindful that he was not one to be easily swayed, regardless of his financial resources. He needed to weigh the pros and cons, considering whether this investment was worthwhile. "I can provide initial research funding for 1 year. You may select your own team from the job market, as long as they are reliable. After the first phase, you must present results to persuade me whether to continue funding your research." Gu Yechen laid out his conditions, his tone steady and resolute. "Agreed," Su Jitsai responded without hesitation, his focus solely on the pursuit of research in the technological realm. Gu Yechen printed a contract and promptly promoted Su Jitsai to the position of research department supervisor. "Mr. Gu, this." Su Jitsai gazed at the contract in astonishment, unable to believe that Gu Yechen would promote him so swiftly. His heart swelled with gratitude and surprise. "Your promotion to supervisor grants you autonomy. Do not disappoint me," Gu Yechen said, patting him on the shoulder, a gesture of trust and encouragement. Su Jitsai smiled, affirming. "Rest assured, Chairman Gu." With that, he signed the contract, officially joining Fei Yue Group. Chapter 256, Encounter with Yifan after Gu Yechen departed from the company. He made a visit to the Royal Customization, a renowned establishment dedicated to bespoke clothing. It is said that their ancestors once crafted garments for the concubines of ancient emperors. Hidden within the bustling city, this place is not easily discovered by the untrained eye. The location is rather secluded, surrounded by aging edifices, and one might easily overlook it unless intentionally seeking it out. The winding streets are lined with walls that bear the scars of time, as if recounting tales from the past. "Boss Mu, I adore this dress. Can you let me have it?" As Gu Yichen approached the entrance, he overheard someone speaking inside, causing his brows to furrow. The voice was laced with a petulant tone that exuded an air of arrogance, evoking a sense of irritation. Upon entering, Gu Yichun beheld a fashionably dressed young woman, her makeup meticulously applied, entangled in a conversation with an elderly man whose hair had turned gray. The woman donned the latest stylish dress and adorned herself with dazzling jewelry, every detail reflecting her opulence and high-handedness. This dress has already been reserved, young lady, Granny Mu explained patiently. Despite her smile, a hint of weariness and resignation flickered in her eyes. I don't care. I want this one, the young woman persisted, her voice rising in pitch, sharp and grating. Stepping forward, Gu Yichen asserted, there is a principle of fairness in all matters, perhaps you should consider that. His voice was steady and commanding, infused with an undeniable pressure. The woman turned, sizing him up with disdain. Who do you think you are to meddle in my affairs? Her gaze was filled with contempt. With a calm smile, Gu Yichen replied, it is not my intention to intervene. It is merely a matter of principle we must uphold. His demeanor remained unruffled by her attitude. Humph, if I desire something, I shall have it. She crossed her arms defiantly, her chin raised high, exuding arrogance. Granny Mu looked helplessly between the two, her expression fraught with concern that this dispute might tarnish the shop's reputation and business. At that moment, a store assistant approached the young woman. Miss, this dress is indeed reserved by Mr. Gu. Perhaps you could consider another? The assistant and Apos. S tone was conciliatory, seeking to ease the tension. The young woman shot a glare at the assistant. I don't care. I must take this dress today. Her voice grew increasingly shrill, a painful assault on the ears. Gu Yichen's expression darkened. Your unreasonable demands are unbecoming, young lady. His gaze turned frigid, as if capable of freezing the very air around them. Seeing Gu Yichen's resolute demeanor, the young woman scoffed, clapping her hands. There is nothing I, Wang Xiao, cannot acquire. Her voice brimmed with confidence and arrogance. Just then, a tall, muscular figure entered, exuding a menacing aura. Everyone, since this garment is desired by Xiao, I hope you will relinquish it. Do not force my hand. Gu Yichen sighed inwardly, wishing to avoid conflict, yet trouble seemed to seek him out. He turned to regard the newcomer with mild surprise. Upon recognizing Gu Yichen, the man's expression soured. Mr. Yi, I didn't expect it to be you. Are you certain you wish to contest me for this? Gu Yichen's smile was tinged with mockery, deriding Yi Fan's audacity. It became apparent that the intruder was indeed Yi Fan. Xiao, perhaps we should look for something else? Yi Fan suggested, feeling the weight of pressure as he sensed Gu Yichen's enhanced prowess. Despite being a 6th-tier martial artist himself, he could not discern Gu Yichen's true strength. I want this one. You take him down, and it will be mine, Wang Xiao declared haughtily, her eyes brimming with expectation towards Yi Fan and disdain towards Gu Yichen. Gu Yichen chuckled softly, bemused by the ignorance of the situation. Yi Fan, it seems you have chosen a rather willful companion. Why you? Yi Fan stammered, turning to Gu Yichen. How is Chu Xia? A flicker of complex emotions crossed his gaze, resentment, jealousy, and a hint of concern. Rest assured, with my care, Chu Xia is thriving, Gu Yichen replied with a smile, his eyes twinkling with mischief, deliberately provoking Yi Fan. Do not overstep, I was merely inquiring. Yi Fan's expression darkened, stung by the implications. After all, Han Chu Xia was the woman he coveted, and being reminded of Gu Yichen's claim was a blow to his pride. Yi Fan, your taste leaves much to be desired. How could you choose such a headstrong companion? Gu Yichen chuckled, shaking his head in jest. Scoundrel! How dare you speak to me like that? Wang Xiao seethed, her face flushed with fury. Who had ever dared to insult her so? Her once delicate features twisted into a fierce scowl. Yi Fan's eyes widened in shock at her outburst, glancing nervously at Gu Yichen, aware of his temper and fearing an impulsive reaction. Gu Yichen's expression darkened ominously as he regarded Wang Xiao. The last person who spoke to me in such a manner now has a grave marker 3 meters high. With that, he lunged forward at lightning speed, vanishing from sight before Yi Fan could react. Wang Xiao continued to hurl insults, but outside, Gu Yichen delivered a stinging slap to her face, sending her sprawling. Had he not tempered his strength, the blow could have been fatal. The sharp crack of the slap echoed through the air, sending shivers down spines. Chapter 257. Now it's my turn. Yi Fan immediately followed, only to find Wang Xiao sprawled on the ground, blood trickling from her mouth, with more of it pooled beneath her. Her face was grotesquely swollen, her hair disheveled, and her clothes covered in dirt, a stark contrast to her formerly haughty demeanor. The delicate makeup she had adorned herself with was now a chaotic mess of blood and grime, rendering her utterly disheveled. Yi Fan rushed over, concern etched in his voice. Xiao, are you all right? Are you blind? Does this look Indapos, all right Indapos, to you? Wang Xiao retorted, pointing at her swollen cheek. She struggled to her feet, touched her face, and winced in pain, her gaze fixed on Gu Yichen. No one has dared to strike me my entire life, and you you wretched cur. Have the audacity to do so? I will see you dead. Her voice trembled with pain yet remained defiant and biting. Her eyes filled with deep-seated resentment, as if they could ignite flames to incinerate Gu Yechen. Yi Fan, kill him. Wang Xiaoxiao directed her fury at Gu Yechen, her eyes blazing with fury as if she wished to devour him whole. Come on, Yi Fan. It's been ages since we last sparred. Let us see if you've improved. Gu Yechen said, hands tucked into his pockets, viewing Yi Fan as nothing more than an inconsequential opponent. His eyes twinkled with mockery, and a slight smirk graced his lips, tinged with disdain. Yi Fan stood frozen, caught in a dilemma. On one hand, he could not ascertain Gu Yechen's strength. The depth of his aura instilled a sense of trepidation within him. Each encounter with Gu Yechen left him feeling powerless and out of control. On the other hand, he could not disregard Wang Xiaoxiao's demands. His mind raced, and he unconsciously clenched his fists, knuckles whitening from the pressure. At that moment, Wang Xiaoxiao shouted again, Yi Fan, what are you waiting for? Make your move. Her voice was sharp and grating, laden with urgency and dissatisfaction. Taking a deep breath, Yi Fan turned to Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen, I don't wish to be your enemy today, but I cannot let Xiaoxiao down. How about we both take a step back? You can give this outfit to Xiaoxiao, and we can offer you compensation instead. What do you say? His tone conveyed a hint of concession and helplessness, as he believed this was a pathway to a peaceful resolution. Gu Yechen was taken aback, incredulous that someone could be so shameless. He shook his head, a cold laugh escaping his lips. Yi Fan, do you think that is possible? This outfit was mine to begin with. Why should I give it to her? This woman is so brazen. Does she truly think everyone will cater to her whims? His voice was icy and resolute, showing no sign of retreat. After a moment of contemplation, Gu Yechen continued, Yi Fan, you have two choices. Either we fight, and after I defeat you, I will render her limbs useless and kill her, or you can leave, and I will do the same to her. The choice is yours. His words dripped with authority, inviting Yi Fan to make a decision. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, Wang Xiaoxiao erupted, Yi Fan, you useless fool. You can't even handle one person? Weren't you capable of taking on several before? Her voice rose with anger, becoming hoarse, her gaze filled with disappointment towards Yi Fan. Yi Fan's expression darkened. Wang Xiaoxiao, don't push your luck. His voice was low, revealing his struggle to contain his anger. Wang Xiaoxiao faltered for a moment, then retorted, Yi Fan, are you insulting me? How dare you? Have you forgotten what you said? Her tone was incredulous, as if she had suffered a grave injustice. Yi Fan was momentarily stunned. Who was truly insulting whom? Was she the one feeling wronged? He felt ensnared in a chaotic predicament, overwhelmed with helplessness. Gu Yechen, observing their quarrel, interjected impatiently, Yi Fan, if you're not going to fight, then leave. His voice brimmed with irritation, his eyes reflecting distaste. Very well, Gu Yechen, if that is the case, I shall see how much your strength has progressed, Yi Fan declared. He stepped forward, positioning himself 10 meters from Gu Yechen, fists clenched, his eyes igniting with combativeness. Prepared for battle. Wang Xiaoxiao, upon hearing Yi Fan address Gu Yechen, froze momentarily in disbelief. A shiver of apprehension coursed through her. She had heard tales of a young man from Shanghai recently, and to encounter him now was beyond her expectations. Her lips trembled slightly, fear flickering in her gaze. A formidable aura, characteristic of a peak 6th-tier martial artist, erupted from Yi Fan, bearing down on Gu Yechen like a tempest. The sheer force of his presence caused the surrounding air to feel as though it had solidified. Gu Yechen's lips curled into a smile as he regarded Yi Fan. Impressive, impressive. You've actually broken through to a 6th-tier martial artist. It seems your name is quite fitting. His tone was casual, entirely unaffected by the pressure Yi Fan exerted. Yi Fan furrowed his brow. It was evident that Gu Yechen had effortlessly discerned his level, indicating he was no ordinary opponent. Prepare to receive my challenge. With that, Yi Fan charged at Gu Yechen, delivering a punch aimed directly at his chest while chanting, Diamond Fist. The punch surged forward with unrelenting momentum, intent on shattering all obstacles in its path, including Gu Yechen. Should he defeat Gu Yechen, then Han Chuxiao would still be his. And even if he had lost his first time, so what? Yi Fan was indifferent to that. A fist, imbued with energy, sliced through the air towards Gu Yechen, stirring up debris from the street and sending dust swirling in its wake. Yi Fan, you're so cool. Quickly take him down and make him kneel to apologize. Wang Xiaoxiao's excitement surged as she saw Yi Fan finally make a move. She was aware of his strength and believed he would succeed effortlessly. Her voice rang out amidst the dust, infused with exhilaration. However, Gu Yechen simply sidestepped, evading Yi Fan's strike, and retaliated with a backhand slap, exerting merely 20% of his strength. Yi Fan's eyes widened in shock, and he swiftly dodged, but nonetheless, fear gripped him. Sweat beads trickled down his forehead as he realized Gu Yechen had been holding back. His heart raced, and his breath quickened. Yi Fan, hurry up and strike. Beat him. Wang Xiaoxiao cried, clutching her swollen cheek. Each shout was punctuated by a sharp intake of breath, pain radiating from her face. yet her anger and resentment dulled her awareness of it. Yet, as Yi Fan faced off against Gu Yechen, he was taken aback by Wang Xiaoxiao's words. He felt an urge to slap her to bring her to her senses. This woman had no grasp of how perilous their situation truly was. Silence. Yi Fan shouted at Wang Xiaoxiao, who stood stunned, bewildered as to why her encouragement had earned her a reprimand. Yi Fan, are you scolding me again? Wang Xiaoxiao's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. A mix of grievance and fury etched across her features. What do you know? I can't even fathom Gu Yechen's strength. And your incessant chatter will only worsen matters. Yi Fan exclaimed, his voice laced with anger. Wang Xiaoxiao was momentarily silenced, unable to respond. Had Yi Fan truly grown so strong? Was Gu Yechen even stronger than him? Gu Yechen chuckled. Yi Fan, you've made your move. Now it's my turn. Chapter 258. Two choices for Yi Fan. As Gu Yechen and Appo's words fell, an overwhelming aura emanated from him, powerful and surging, instantly filling the entire space. The presence that transcended that of a sixth-tier warrior left Yi Fan momentarily astonished. He was aware that Gu Yechen was stronger than him, but he had not anticipated that Gu Yechen had shattered his limitations and ascended to the 7th tier. His eyes brimmed with shock. It is essential to note that there exists a profound chasm between 6th tier and 7th tier warriors. While the former may be formidable, they remain vulnerable to gunfire, capable of being injured or even fatally wounded. In contrast, a 7th tier warrior possesses immunity to such attacks, achieving a state of invulnerability to blades and bullets, unless assaulted by continuous fire from rifles or higher. The revelation of Gu Yechen's advancement to the 7th tier struck Yi Fan hard, instilling a sense of helplessness that swiftly dispelled his earlier confidence. Are you prepared to face the consequences? Gu Yechen inquired with a calm smile, a hint of amusement dancing in his expression. This matter is our fault. I apologize on behalf of both of us. Might I ask Mr. Gu to show us mercy this time? Yi Fan's spirit deflated upon witnessing Gu Yechen's prowess, as he realized he held no hope of defeating a 7th tier warrior. His voice trembled slightly, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Gu Yechen paused, taken aback by Yi Fan's quick wit and self-awareness. Recognizing that he was not like other foolish individuals who dared to provoke a saint or would-be emperor from a mere ant-like realm. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, subtly altering his perception of Yi Fan. You come to provoke me, steal from me, and insult me. Now, upon seeing this, you wish to simply applaud and depart? Would that not be quite shameful for me? Gu Yechen smiled faintly, yet his smile bore an icy undertone, a subtle hint of menace emerging. His voice was chilling, sending shivers down one's spine. It was indeed our transgression. What compensation does Mr. Gu require? We are willing to make amends within our capacity. Yi Fan took a deep breath, continuing with sincerity in his gaze, hoping Gu Yechen would spare them. Compensation? Gu Yechen mused, stroking his chin thoughtfully. His penetrating gaze rendered his thoughts inscrutable. Yi Fan, observing Gu Yechen and Appo's demeanor, felt a glimmer of hope, his tension easing, for as long as compensation could be negotiated. There appeared to be a pathway forward. A flicker of anticipation graced his features as he awaited Gu Yechen's response. After a moment, Gu Yechen turned to Yi Fan and spoke. I do have a solution. His tone was deliberate. Please, Mr. Gu, enlighten us. Yi Fan's lips curled into a slight smile, exuding confidence. He felt a spark of hope igniting within him, believing a turning point had arrived. Observing Yi Fan and Appo's eager demeanor, Gu Yechen smiled mischievously. You shall beat that woman and break her limbs. Should you do so, I may consider allowing you to leave. His smile held a trace of mockery, eager to witness Yi Fan's decision. This was Gu Yechen's genuine intention. Should Yi Fan dare to act, he would indeed grant them their freedom. Yet, this was their sole opportunity. Next time, he would not hesitate to eliminate them without a second thought. He simply wished to see how Yi Fan would choose. Boom. Wang Xiaoxiao's eyes widened in disbelief at Gu Yechen's demand. She had not anticipated such a request. Her complexion paled instantly, terror flooding her gaze. She turned mechanically to Yi Fan, who was also staring at her. A shiver coursed through her. If Yi Fan truly struck her, she would undoubtedly crumble beneath the weight of such an assault. Brother Gu, please, let us discuss this amicably. There is nothing that cannot be resolved. Wang Xiaoxiao's voice trembled as she forced a smile, which resembled more of a cry. She desperately attempted to alter the situation with her final ounce of strength. Gu Yechen felt a wave of nausea at her words. As a 7th-tier warrior, he should not experience such a sensation. The fact that Wang Xiaoxiao could induce such revulsion was a testament to her loathsomeness. He grimaced in distaste, unwilling to endure another word from her. Yi Fan, equally bewildered, gazed at Wang Xiaoxiao. He had never witnessed her so submissive, as she was typically accustomed to being domineering. His heart was a tumult of conflicting emotions, uncertain how to proceed. Yi Fan, it is time to decide, Gu Yechen remarked, casting a sidelong glance at Wang Xiaoxiao, disregarding her entirely as he focused on Yi Fan. His voice was frigid, offering no alternative. Yi Fan glanced at Wang Xiaoxiao, then summoned the pinnacle of his 6th-tier strength, declaring, I do not strike women. Thus, we shall continue. His tone was resolute. He had never raised a hand against a woman, a fundamental principle he adhered to. Gu Yechen shook his head, remaining silent. His expression was impassive as he regarded Yi Fan. In the next instant, he stepped forward, appearing beside Yi Fan, and unleashed a fist with blinding speed. Yi Fan's pupils widened in shock. He had not anticipated Gu Yechen's swiftness. Had he foreseen this, he would have compromised his principles and struck Wang Xiaoxiao. Now, it was too late to evade. Yi Fan swiftly raised his arms to block. But Gu Yechen's speed was too formidable. Despite his immediate reaction, he was a fraction too slow. Gu Yechen's fist collided with Yi Fan's chest, sending him flying over 20 meters, crashing against a wall before coming to a halt. The sheer force of impact cracked the wall, and Yi Fan's body slammed against it. Poof! A mouthful of blood erupted from Yi Fan, his form disheveled, his aura significantly diminished. His clothing lay in tatters, his body smeared with dust and blood. Chapter 259. Qingyan, you are truly beautiful. Gu Yichun gazed at Yi Fan with a hint of astonishment, narrowing his eyes as he examined his own fist, and then turned his attention back to Yi Fan. To his surprise, it seemed that even at 50% of his strength, he had not managed to kill Yi Fan. Typically, a 6th-tier martial artist would have perished from such a blow. This left Gu Yichun perplexed, leading him to ponder. It appears that Yi Fan possesses some degree of fortune. Otherwise, how could one explain the earlier events? A flicker of doubt crossed his gaze. Meanwhile, Yi Fan crouched awkwardly, his heart tumultuous like a raging sea, his entire being trembling. Just moments ago, Gu Yichen's strike had brought him to the brink of death, where he had even glimpsed his great-grandfather beckoning him. Yet, inexplicably, he had survived. His eyes were filled with confusion, but the fact that he was alive brought him a measure of exhilaration. Observing Yi Fan, Gu Yichun found the situation curious. However, it was evident that Yi Fan was barely clinging to life. He would require an extended period of recuperation. Gritting his teeth against the excruciating pain, Yi Fan rose unsteadily, his figure swaying as if a gentle breeze could topple him. Each breath was labored, akin to his chest threatening to rupture, as though he might collapse at any moment. With a smile, Gu Yichun remarked, "Not bad, not bad. You managed to withstand my strike with only 50% of my strength. I shall let you off this time, but next time, your luck may not hold." His tone, laced with amusement, bore an undercurrent of stern warning. The words echoed in Yi Fan's ears like a tolling bell, sending a jolt of fear through him. Upon hearing this, Yi Fan spat out a mouthful of blood, astounded that, despite his full efforts to defend himself, he had only faced Gu Yichen's half-strength. This realization plunged his heart into an abyss of despair, and he staggered, vomiting blood before collapsing unconscious to the ground, his body limp like a marionette severed from its strings. Gu Yichen shrugged. This was not his concern. He then turned to Wang Xiaoxiao, who sat frozen in place, having witnessed Yi Fan's utter defeat at Gu Yichen's hands. Fear had drained the color from her face, and a stream of liquid betrayed her terror. Gu Yichen looked at Wang Xiaoxiao, offering a gentle smile. Had Yi Fan broken your limbs just now, I would have truly allowed you to leave. However, it seems you are fated to perish. With that, he unleashed a surge of energy, striking Wang Xiaoxiao, who fell lifeless to the ground, her eyes reflecting the terror of her final moments. Having dealt with the two, Gu Yichun turned and entered the royal customization shop, retrieving his reserved attire before leisurely departing. The street returned to tranquility as if the fierce confrontation had never occurred. The wind whispered softly, stirring the dust upon the ground. As time passed, it was now 6 o'clock in the evening. The cruise ship had gathered a multitude of attendees from various walks of life. After all, the Qinyan group, under Jiang Qingyan's leadership, had ascended back to prominence. Bolstered by the Feiyue group, creating a truly spectacular scene. Brilliant lights illuminated the entire vessel, where elegantly dressed individuals mingled, laughter and conversation filling the air with an atmosphere of opulence and festivity. The Xinghai building was adorned with breathtaking photographs of Jiang Qingyan, alongside words spoken by Gu Yichun, easily visible to all. Each image of Jiang Qingyan exuded elegance and confidence, radiating a unique allure. Upon his arrival, Gu Yichun made his way directly to Jiang Qingyan's dressing room. "Sister," he called gently, his tone imbued with anticipation. "Yes?" Inside the dressing room, Ning Qianshui was assisting Jiang Qingyan with her makeup. Jiang Qingyan smiled, recognizing Gu Yichen's voice. Rising, she approached its source, and as they entered the room, they exchanged a silent yet profound embrace, a gentle kiss melding their emotions into a single, unspoken moment. Gu Yichun produced a gown, the very one he had reserved at the royal customization shop, glimmering with golden light. Each stitch and detail had been meticulously crafted by hand, a labor of love that had culminated in this exquisite garment. It was a regal creation, unmatched even by the finery of ancient queens. The dress was adorned with dazzling jewels that sparkled enchantingly, resembling a celestial garment descended from the heavens. Jiang Qingyan covered her mouth in awe, gazing at the magnificent gown before her, entranced. "Xiaochen, Is this truly for me? She asked, her voice tinged with disbelief and deep emotion. Gu Yichen gently embraced Jiang Qingyan, stroking her hair as he replied, Of course. Tonight, you are the star. His eyes brimmed with affection. Ning Qianshui stepped closer to admire the gown, exclaiming, Little one, will I ever receive such a gift? Her eyes sparkled with envy. Captivated by the gown's beauty as she looked at Gu Yichen, eagerly anticipating his response. Absolutely. Gu Yichen affirmed without hesitation, smiling. Xiaoyan, please try it on. Ning Qianshui could hardly contain her excitement, eager to see Jiang Qingyan's radiant transformation. Could you assist me? Jiang Qingyan blushed, glancing at Ning Qianshui before asking Gu Yichen to wait outside. Joy radiated from her, knowing this gift was from the one she loved. As Ning Qianshui helped her change, she hesitated, caught in a moment of indecision. Noticing her turmoil, Jiang Qingyan smiled and encouraged Xiao Shui. If there is something on your mind, please share. There is nothing we cannot discuss. Her voice was soothing. Xiaoyan. This banquet is actually organized by Xiao Chen for you, Ning Qianshui revealed, unable to contain her excitement any longer. Her face glowed with enthusiasm. I had already guessed. Jiang Qingyan beamed, her smile radiant. As she beheld the building's light shining in her honor, she had sensed it all along. When Gu Yichen spoke, she understood completely. Her eyes sparkled with warmth. What woman would not desire such a gift? Ning Qianshui was momentarily stunned, gazing at Jiang Qingyan in astonishment. Xiaoyan, how did you figure it out? Her voice brimmed with curiosity. Jiang Qingyan led her to the window, pointing at the building outside, adorned with her stunning photographs and Gu Yichen's words. I thought you hadn't noticed and wanted to wait until the banquet to tell you, Ning Qianshui shrugged. Momentarily at a loss for words, astonished that Jiang Qingyan had discerned the truth long before. At that moment, Jiang Qingyan emerged, adorned in the luxurious gown. Gu Yichen's eyes widened in awe upon seeing her. She resembled a celestial being, the dress accentuating her figure and grace, each step seeming to radiate light. Sister, you are truly beautiful, Gu Yichen exclaimed, enfolding Jiang Qingyan in his arms, his admiration genuine. He felt profoundly grateful that they were not blood relatives. Otherwise, he might have been compelled to bash his head against a wall in disbelief. Jiang Qingyan smiled gently, placing a kiss on Gu Yichen's cheek as she declared, My beauty exists solely for you. Everything is a reflection of your intentions. Chapter 260, Matsushita Suzuki. Outside the cruise ship, guests began to arrive in succession. Ning Qianshui had arranged for 20 individuals to greet them, all clad in identical uniforms, their faces adorned with smiles as they courteously welcomed each visitor. At that moment, a large group of people boarded the cruise ship. At the forefront was none other than the ruffian who had been thoroughly beaten by Gu Yichen in the restaurant. Flanked by 2 bodyguards exuding an aura of martial prowess, they strode forward with an air of arrogance, as if the cruise ship were their own territory. Make way! Make way! Shouted the bodyguards, clearing a path with an attitude that was nothing short of brazen. They bulldozed their way through, completely disregarding the surrounding guests and the order of the event. Upon reaching the reception area, they confronted the greeters. Get lost. Do you not realize our young master is here? If you anger him, you won't end up well. The leading bodyguard sneered, his eyes brimming with arrogance, dismissing everyone with contempt. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have an invitation? This is a gathering for our chairman's friends. If you lack an invitation, please leave. One of the greeters replied calmly, his tone resolute, his gaze unflinching, disregarding the identity of those before him. Without an invitation, no one was welcome. An invitation? Open your eyes and see. Do you not recognize the young master of Matsushita Group? Get out of my way. The bodyguard retorted, his voice rising in shrillness, practically ready to devour the greeter alive. Who are you? What right do you have to bark here? Do you not know where you are? At that moment, a young man emerged from the ship, revealing himself to be Su Haoran. Invited by Gu Yichen, he had arrived early, eager to relish the splendid evening ahead. I am your father. The bodyguard instinctively shot back, his face a mask of arrogance, utterly oblivious to the imminent danger he was courting. Slap him and throw him overboard. Su Haoran said coolly, his voice not loud, yet imbued with authority. No sooner had he spoken than one of his aides stepped forward, swiftly delivering a resounding slap to the bodyguard. The sharp crack echoed in the air. The bodyguard's face swelled instantly, and before he could comprehend the situation, he was hurled into the Pearl River. I am Matsushita Suzuki, son of the chairman of Matsushita Group, he stated calmly. He had noticed a beautiful woman illuminated by the office lights on his way here, and was drawn to her, hoping to spend an enchanting evening together. A flicker of barely perceptible greed flashed in his eyes. Ah, so it is Matsushita Group. Pray tell, what brings you here with such arrogance? If you lack an invitation, I must insist you leave, Su Haoran replied, a smile gracing his lips, though it did not reach his eyes, which glimmered with caution. Just then, the aide who had just disposed of the bodyguard returned to Su Haoran's side and whispered, Young master, the 2 behind him are formidable fighters. At least peak 6th tier martial artists, and one may even be 7th tier. His voice was low, only Su Haoran could hear him, and it carried a note of gravity. Upon hearing this, Su Haoran furrowed his brow. 7th-tier martial artists were no trifling matter. To have such protection, was this man previously wrong? Or was his father perpetually this cautious? His mind raced as he pondered his next move. At that moment, Matsushita Suzuki chuckled and said, Mr. Su, I have set my sights on a particularly beautiful lady at tonight's gathering and wish to make her acquaintance. I hope you will oblige, otherwise, should you be tossed into the waters, do not say I did not warn you. His tone dripped with menace, and his bodyguards stepped forward, exuding an intimidating presence. With that, one of the bodyguards advanced, his martial aura erupting, causing the surrounding air to thicken with tension. Su Haoran spoke evenly. I advise you to curb your ambitions. Or Matsushita Group may find itself in dire straits. His voice, though calm, carried an undercurrent of frost. Oh, I am quite curious to witness just how dire. Matsushita Suzuki replied with a smile, his eyes gleaming with provocation. Su Haoran smiled faintly and took out his phone to make a call. Gu Yechin was currently with Jiang Qingyan, and the banquet was still half an hour away. Just then, his phone rang, displaying Su Haoran's name. Hello, Su bro. Gu Yechin answered, his tone friendly, a blissful smile on his face. I must inform you, Gu bro, there are troublemakers aboard the cruise ship. They claim to be here for your beautiful Jiang, and they've been spouting all sorts of nonsense about her. Their bodyguards seem rather formidable. My men might struggle against them. Are you coming? Su Haoran chuckled lightly, maintaining an unruffled demeanor, though inwardly he was filled with amusement at Matsushita Suzuki. Gu Yechin's expression hardened instantly, his demeanor shifting. He was aware that Su Haoran had a 6th-tier martial artist in his entourage. If even he could not contend with them, then it was certain they were 6th-tier or higher. A powerful aura emanated from him, instilling fear. Ning Qianxue and Jiang Qingyan exchanged glances, sensing Gu Yechin's change and feeling a pang of concern. What's wrong? Jiang Qingyan asked softly, her voice gentle as she grasped Gu Yechin's hand, worry etched in her eyes. It's nothing, just someone seeking trouble. I will handle it. Gu Yechin assured her with a soft kiss on her lips, soothing her anxiety before turning to leave, his steps resolute. Has Mr. Su's guest not yet arrived? I'm growing somewhat impatient. Matsushita Suzuki's voice echoed once more, tinged with irritation. At that moment, Shi Qingyuan approached, observing the scene before him. You seem quite formidable, he remarked, his voice steady, laced with scrutiny. Mr. Shi, if you intend to intervene, then it cannot be helped, Matsushita Suzuki replied, his expression betraying slight anger. Yet he refrained from showing it. He understood well Shi Qingyuan's status and strength, and dared not offend him lightly. Chapter 261. The appearance of Gu Yechin, he continued. Since Director Shi is meddling, we shall take our leave. His tone carried a hint of reluctance, for the woman in the photograph was extraordinarily beautiful. A fleeting encounter with her would be worth it. His gaze still lingered with desire, as if she were already within his grasp. Want to leave? Who allowed you to come and go as you please? A cold voice echoed, like thunder splitting the air. The chill in that voice was reminiscent of a biting winter wind, instantly freezing the atmosphere and instilling fear. Matsushita Suzuki's expression soured as he turned to face the newcomer. His countenance shifted to one of utter dread, conjuring images of a boiling pot, causing his body to tremble involuntarily. This fear stemmed from the depths of his being, cloaking him like a shadow from which he could not escape. His lips quivered, and his voice faltered. It's you. Gu Yechin approached Matsushita Suzuki, each step steady and powerful, like a hammer striking the very core of Suzuki's heart. His gaze was as frigid as frost, seemingly capable of solidifying the air around him. Fixated on Matsushita Suzuki, he declared, it appears you haven't learned your lesson from our last encounter. How dare you covet what belongs to me? You must be tired of living. His voice was icy yet imbued with an overwhelming sense of authority. A peak 6th-tier warrior, a bodyguard behind Matsushita Suzuki, stepped forward, confronting Gu Yechin. The bodyguard exuded a powerful aura, his physique taut and imposing. Matsushita Suzuki felt a wave of relief wash over him, recalling that his father had provided him with 2 capable bodyguards after the previous incident. Clearing his throat, Matsushita Suzuki regained some confidence as he addressed Gu Yechin. Attempting to sound assertive, Gu Yechin, I have yet to settle the score for your last attack. Let us resolve everything this time. However, his trembling voice betrayed his inner trepidation. Su Haoran was about to interject when Gu Yechin smiled, a smile devoid of warmth. Let us see if your head is hard enough. Attack, Matsushita Suzuki commanded. As his words fell, one bodyguard surged toward Gu Yechin with incredible speed, stirring the air in his wake. Yet, to Gu Yechin, this speed was inconsequential. The bodyguard leaped, fist raised, aiming to deliver a decisive blow. Concern rippled through the onlookers for Gu Yechin's safety. Foolish, to challenge me so recklessly, Gu Yechin exclaimed, concealing his true strength at the peak of the 6th tier. He channeled his energy and unleashed a punch with seamless precision. The punch was overwhelmingly powerful, executed with such swiftness that it was nearly imperceptible. The sixth-tier warrior had no time to evade as the blow struck him squarely in the chest, causing a deep indentation. A pain scream escaped him as his body, like a severed kite, arced through the air, trailing crimson blood before crashing to the ground with a dull thud, lifeless. The scene stunned all present into silence. Shock filled their eyes, each struggling to comprehend the extraordinary event that had just unfolded. Matsushita Suzuki staggered back, nearly collapsing in disbelief. His legs weakened from fear. Beads of sweat rolled down his forehead as he stammered, "Mr. Gu, I was wrong. I didn't know this was your gathering. I won't dare again." Gu Yechin regarded him coldly, saying, "I didn't expect you to be released so soon. It seems I must take matters into my own hands. Otherwise, who knows if you'll be let loose again." His gaze pierced through Matsushita Suzuki, sinking him into despair. "The people you've brought are mediocre. Who gave you the audacity to stir trouble here? Was it Liang?" Gu Yechin chuckled coldly. Meanwhile, in another room, Jiang Qingyan paced anxiously, her brow furrowed with concern. She was visibly troubled, her lovely face etched with worry, and her hurried steps revealed her inner turmoil. Ning Qianxue observed her agitation and voiced her concern. "Wait here, I'll check it out." With that, she exited, quickly making her way to the front of the yacht. Seeing a crowd gathered, she frowned, bewildered as to why they lingered outside rather than entering. Approaching a hostess, she inquired, "What is happening? Why is it so noisy?" "Ning, someone is causing trouble, trying to enter without an invitation and hurling insults. Mr. Gu is currently handling it," the hostess replied, her voice laced with tension. Ning Qianxue hurried forward, and upon her arrival, gasps of admiration arose from the crowd. "It's the owner of Blue Ocean Group. So beautiful. Ning is also here." The murmurs surged, many eager to engage her in conversation, hoping to elevate their own companies. However, Ning Qianxue's mind was elsewhere. Upon reaching the front, Gu Yechin's gaze met hers, surprise flickering in his eyes. "What brings you here?" Gu Yechin asked, astonished. "Xiaoyan is worried, so I came to check on you." "Are you all right?" Ning Qianxue asked, her eyes filled with concern. "I'm fine. You should leave this place," Gu Yechin replied with a gentle smile, his tone soothing. Ning Qianxue nodded and turned to depart. At that moment, Matsushita Suzuki's eyes lit up upon seeing her, his mind filled with twisted thoughts. How fortunate he was to encounter another beauty. If he could entertain both exquisite women, how delightful it would be. "Miss, please wait. Would you be interested in spending a lovely evening with me?" His voice dripped with an unpleasant quality that elicited disgust. Ning Qianxue halted, momentarily stunned. "Are you speaking to me?" Her incredulity was palpable, her beautiful face suddenly frosted with disdain. "Indeed. If you agree to accompany me, I'll grant any request." Matsushita Suzuki was lost in his fantasies, envisioning himself dominating Ning Qianxue, a lewd smile spreading across his face. Ning Qianxue turned, her expression softening as she looked at Gu Yechin. "Xiaoqing, could you take care of this?" Her voice was filled with tenderness, trust, and reliance. Matsushita Suzuki, upon hearing this, was struck with fear, realizing that the two shared a special bond. Chapter 262. I am Gu Yechin, and I invite you to your demise. Fear not. His days are numbered. Gu Yechin's countenance darkened as an icy aura abruptly enveloped the room. How dare someone utter such audacious words about his beloved woman in his presence? The only recourse was to send them to their doom. A glint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Matsushita Suzuki exchanged a glance with Gu Yechin, his body trembling as he realized he had unwittingly courted disaster. "Matsushita Suzuki, I am Gu Yechin, and I hereby invite you to your demise. Let us proceed." Gu Yechin's expression remained impassive, his tone as tranquil as a still lake, yet beneath that calm lay an inexhaustible desire for vengeance, sweeping through the vicinity like a tempest. At that moment, another bodyguard behind Matsushita Suzuki stepped forward, his gaze fixed intently on Gu Yechin, silent as a statue. Upon seeing him, Gu Yechin narrowed his eyes slightly and remarked, "I thought you would prefer to remain hidden. Do you know me?" The bodyguard inquired. Gu Yechin shook his head, replying, "Not at all, but I can assure you, you shall perish here." Confidence brimmed in Gu Yechin and Appo's eyes. "Ha! You certainly speak with audacity, kid. I am a 7th-tier warrior. What can a mere 6th-tier warrior possibly do against me?" The bodyguard erupted into boisterous laughter, convinced that a 6th-tier warrior's challenge to a 7th tier was utterly absurd. He envisioned Gu Yechin's defeat and his subsequent disposal into the Pearl River to feed the fish. With that, he lunged forward. A fist aimed straight at Gu Yechin's face while his right leg targeted Gu Yechin's groin in a treacherously underhanded attack, seeking to incapacitate him in one fell swoop. Gu Yechin's expression darkened. This was his beloved's treasured possession, and this vile man dared to threaten its destruction. Clearly, he was courting his own demise. A flicker of fury ignited in his gaze, unleashing an overwhelming aura. Gu Yechin sidestepped effortlessly, evading the attack. The bodyguard, realizing his strike had missed, unleashed a flurry of rapid-fire blows, fists and feet flying with astonishing ferocity. Gu Yechin snorted coldly. no longer concealing his true power as an immense force surged forth from within him. He retaliated with a powerful punch, colliding with the bodyguard and Appo's fist. Bang! A deafening sound echoed, the collision of their might sending shockwaves through the crowd, causing them to stagger backward. The bodyguard was forced to retreat over 20 steps, a searing pain radiating through his arm. Meanwhile, Gu Yechin stood firm, unyielding as a mountain. The bodyguard was taken aback, never anticipating Gu Yechin's strength to exceed all expectations. How could a 7th-tier warrior be so formidable? Is this your strength? A 7th-tier warrior is nothing remarkable. Gu Yechin taunted, his voice dripping with provocation. Enraged, the bodyguard launched a full-force assault, channeling all his power into a single punch aimed at Gu Yechin, intent on a decisive victory. In response, Gu Yechin met his attack with a punch of his own, and the bodyguard was instantly sent sprawling. Uffed. The bodyguard spat blood, exclaiming, "How is this possible? How can you be at the peak of the 7th tier?" With that, he collapsed, unable to move another inch. Gu Yechin approached him, stating, "There is much you cannot fathom. Dying by my hand is your honor." Without hesitation, Gu Yechin dispatched him, casting his body into the Pearl River. Witnessing this, Matsushita Suzuki fell into despair, crumpling to the ground, his face ashen. If even the 7th-tier warrior sent by his father had been defeated, he knew he was doomed. "Gu Yechin, I beg you spare me," Matsushita Suzuki pleaded, his voice trembling with fear. "Spare you? You sealed your fate the moment you sought to harm those dear to me." Gu Yechin replied coldly, devoid of any compassion. With that, Gu Yechin unleashed a powerful punch, sending Matsushita Suzuki reeling, blood spilling from his mouth, his eyes bloodshot as he collapsed limply. Gu Yechin seized him and plunged him into the Pearl River. The onlookers were struck with terror, realizing that lives had been extinguished with such ruthless efficiency. This matter would not be resolved easily. After all was done, Gu Yechin smiled and reverted to his warm demeanor, addressing the crowd. "Please, continue." He then returned to the room, meeting the concerned gazes of Jiang Qingyan and Ning Qianxue, and offered a reassuring smile, saying, "It is all fine now." On the cruise ship that night, lights sparkled like stars, and music flowed melodiously. The earlier bloodshed seemingly forgotten as people chatted joyfully. As the clock struck 7, the ship set sail, and the banquet commenced in earnest. The entire starry sea was adorned with images of Jiang Qingyan, and discussions about her abounded. Fireworks ascended, painting the night sky with vibrant colors. Passers-by paused to capture the scene on their phones, while couples reveled in the romantic ambience beneath the fireworks. Inside the ship, the banquet was already underway. As the host, Gu Yechin rose to deliver a speech, taking the microphone and striding confidently to the stage. The crowd erupted into enthusiastic applause. "Ladies and gentlemen, today marks the birthday of my beloved sister, Jiang Qingyan. I am immensely grateful to each of you for taking the time to join this celebration amidst your busy lives. I, Gu Yechin, am truly honored. As you may know, I am not a member of the Jiang family, and thus I must extend my heartfelt gratitude to my sister, Jiang Qingyan, for her unwavering support and love. Henceforth, I shall protect her for the rest of my days. I sincerely hope that the days to come remain just as splendid." In the lounge, Jiang Qingyan watched the scene unfold, a radiant smile illuminating her face. She had never imagined such a moment would come. Her most cherished person was hosting a grand birthday celebration for her in front of the entire Starry Sea business circle. It left her heart in a whirlwind of emotions. Ning Qianxue stood beside her, observing the moment. Though she said nothing, the envy in her eyes was unmistakable. "Do not worry. You too shall experience this," Jiang Qingyan said to her friend with a smile. "I never claimed I wanted it," Ning Qianxue replied, her gaze fixed intently on the projection in the lounge, her bravado faltering as her envious eyes betrayed her true feelings. "Next, let us welcome the star of tonight's banquet," Gu Yechin announced, and the grand doors of the banquet hall slowly swung open. As the doors creaked open, every pair of eyes widened in astonishment. Chapter 263 Re-encounter with Jiang Lai. At the entrance, a tall and graceful woman stood elegantly. Adorned in a luxurious gown, she shimmered under the dazzling lights, each golden ray narrating the exquisite opulence of her attire. Instantly, one could not help but feel a pang of envy. As a prestigious family in the Star Sea, the Han family was naturally among the invitees. Han Chuxia gazed at Jiang Qingyan with admiration. Her eyes brimmed with longing and aspiration as she murmured, "I wonder when I shall experience such treatment." As Jiang Qingyan gracefully entered the banquet hall, the crowd was left in utter astonishment. The gown was simply impeccable. The delicate stitching and exquisite embellishments showcased its extraordinary quality. Paired with Jiang Qingyan's stunning beauty and remarkable figure, she resembled a celestial being, captivating all who beheld her. Each step she took exuded elegance, drawing the gazes of those around her. On stage, observing Jiang Qingyan's entrance, Gu Yechin was filled with joy. Today, she looked exceptionally beautiful, breathtakingly so. A fire ignited within him, urging him toward her. He hurried to Jiang Qingyan's side, taking her delicate hand as he said, "Let us go." His voice was gentle and infused with affection. Jiang Qingyan smiled blissfully, softly replying, "Mm." Her voice was melodious and enchanting. Hand in hand, they ascended the stage, leaving the audience astonished. Why were the two walking up together, hand in hand? Though curiosity brewed in their minds, none dared to voice their thoughts. For Gu Yechen was a man of formidable strength. They could only speculate silently. Upon reaching the stage, Jiang Qingyan took the microphone and declared, "Today is my birthday, and I wish to express my gratitude to everyone for attending this celebration. This is undeniably the happiest birthday of my life." Her voice rang clear, her eyes sparkling with joy. After speaking, she turned to Gu Yechen, and they embraced lightly before parting. She then addressed the crowd, saying, "Tonight, I hope you all enjoy the food and drinks." Together with Gu Yechen, she descended the stage and took her seat. The banquet hall echoed with the sounds of dining and conversation, primarily among acquaintances engaged in business. Laughter and merriment filled the air, creating a warm and harmonious atmosphere. At 10 o'clock in the evening, the cruise ship anchored in the South Sea, promising a night spent at sea. Gu Yechen had even prepared fishing hooks for the attendees, allowing them to fish in the ocean. The ship was equipped with various entertainment facilities. Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan found themselves on the deck. Outside, numerous people were fishing, and the catch was plentiful. "Keep the big ones, but return the small ones," Gu Yechen advised, his voice clear against the sea breeze. As they admired the nighttime scenery, the salty sea breeze caressed them. On the deserted deck, Jiang Qingyan leaned against Gu Yechen's chest, overwhelmed with happiness and contentment from his warmth. "Sister, shall we rest?" Gu Yechen gently stroked Jiang Qingyan's hair, his gaze filled with intensity that could ignite the night. Jiang Qingyan remained silent, understanding what was about to unfold. Yet, this was no longer a matter of concern for her. She nodded slightly, a blush gracing her cheeks as their lips drew near. Jiang Qingyan closed her eyes. Just then, a voice suddenly called out, "Elder sister." Both Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan froze, turning towards the source of the voice. A woman stood there, appearing weary and unstable, though her beauty remained evident. "Jiang Lai, what brings you here?" Upon seeing her, Jiang Qingyan rushed forward. Although she was aware of the Jiang family's downfall and had distanced herself from them, a sense of nostalgia lingered for the place where she had grown up. "Elder sister." Jiang Lai's eyes reddened, tears streaming down her face as she embraced Jiang Qingyan and wept. Gu Yechen furrowed his brow at this scene, perplexed by Jiang Lai's presence. He had shown mercy by not confronting the Jiang family, yet here she was, daring to appear? His gaze turned icy. "Stop crying, what troubles you?" Jiang Qingyan asked, her tone laced with concern and confusion. "After our parents' divorce, my father fell into despair due to company troubles and has little time left. My mother was in a car accident and is now brain dead. I need to borrow some money. Is that possible?" Jiang Lai cried, her voice full of helplessness and despair. Jiang Qingyan closed her eyes, memories of her upbringing in the Jiang family flooding her mind, the relentless training to be the best, the sacrifices she made to elevate the company by hundreds of billions. Those painful recollections weighed heavily on her heart. Sometimes, she pondered if she truly belonged to the Jiang family, questioning why her childhood had been devoid of joy. A flicker of confusion and anguish crossed her eyes. Gu Yechen approached, wrapping his arm around Jiang Qingyan's slender waist, his expression cold as he addressed Jiang Lai. "How did you get in here without an invitation?" His voice was frigid, causing the temperature around them to drop. "Brother." Jiang Lai looked at Gu Yechen with tear-filled eyes. "I am not your brother. Jiang Zihao is your brother," Gu Yechen replied flatly, devoid of any warmth in his gaze. Jiang Lai staggered back, as if struck by lightning. She had not anticipated such callousness from him. "Brother, you," she stammered, disbelief etched across her face. "I have stated that we share no connection. Should you appear here again without an invitation, I shall toss you into the sea to feed the fish," Gu Yechen warned, his stare piercing and menacing. Jiang Lai was paralyzed with fear, trembling at the thought of being cast into the ocean. "Enough. Do not frighten her further," Jiang Qingyan interjected, caressing Gu Yechen's cheek and planting a gentle kiss on it to temper his fury. Her actions were tender and affectionate. This display shattered Jiang Lai's perception of reality, leaving her speechless, her mind struggling to process what she had just witnessed. Chapter 264. Jiang Qingyan's happiness. Jiang Lai trembled as she asked Jiang Qingyan, "Sister, did you really kiss him? What is going on between you and Yichun?" Her voice quivered with disbelief, and she rubbed her eyes vigorously, hoping to discern whether this was truly the case. Yet, the scene before her remained unchanged. Jiang Qingyan looked at Jiang Lai and chuckled lightly. "It's nothing, after all. Xiao Chun and I share no blood relation." Her words were delivered with a carefree ease, and her smile radiated happiness, almost overflowing from the corners of her eyes. Jiang Lai stood there in a daze, momentarily unable to accept this revelation. Her gaze was vacant, her mouth slightly agape, as if she had been frozen in place. After what felt like an eternity, she finally regained her senses and said, "Eldest sister, could you help me?" A hint of pleading laced her voice. the quiet desperation seemingly emanating from the depths of her heart. Jiang Qingyan glanced at Gu Yechen, who furrowed his brow but remained silent. He did not wish to put Jiang Qingyan in a difficult position, so he held his tongue. A flicker of something unusual crossed his eyes, yet he ultimately chose silence. Standing there in tacit acceptance. With a sigh, Jiang Qingyan handed Jiang Lai a card, saying, "Take care of yourself, and don't overexert." Her eyes were filled with concern. Jiang Lai nodded eagerly, expressing her gratitude. "Thank you, eldest sister. Thank you." Her gaze was brimming with appreciation, filled with unspoken words. "Feel free to speak your mind." Jiang Qingyan encouraged, gently patting Jiang Lai's head, her eyes softening with warmth. Among the sisters, she shared the closest bond with Jiang Lai, having spent countless joyful moments together. "Sister, do you wish to visit father?" Jiang Lai asked nervously, her voice trembling slightly. She feared Jiang Qingyan might refuse, as well as the possibility of Gu Yechen dismissing her altogether. Her eyes were a mix of hope and apprehension, her hands instinctively clenching. "Perhaps another time. I have been quite busy lately. I'll call you when I can," Jiang Qingyan sighed, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. After all, the Jiang family had raised her for so many years. Without them, she might not have the present she enjoyed, nor would she have encountered the one she loved most. Those memories were laced with both pain and warmth, rendering her heart restless. Jiang Lai smiled. "Father would surely be delighted to see you visit him." After saying this, she turned and returned to her cabin on the cruise ship. Her footsteps were heavy, her silhouette tinged with melancholy. As Jiang Qingyan and Gu Yechen watched Jiang Lai's retreating figure, a myriad of emotions surged within them. If only they had known how things would unfold, they might have acted differently. The Jiang family, once so resplendent, had now fallen to such depths, evoking a sense of lament for the capriciousness of fate. "Xiaochen, you're not upset with me for doing this, are you?" Jiang Qingyan asked anxiously, her gaze reflecting her unease, fearful that her decision might hurt Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen embraced Jiang Qingyan tightly, assuring her, "As long as you are happy, that's all that matters." With that, he leaned in and kissed her crimson lips. The two of them standing on the deck, lost in each other's embrace. The sea breeze gently tousled their hair, and the moonlight bathed them, as if draping them in a silvery veil. Jiang Lai, hidden in the shadows, was taken aback to witness the kiss. Her mind racing with thoughts. Could it be that they had gone that far? Surely not. However, she dismissed such thoughts. After all, they shared no blood ties. So it was not a significant concern. Shaking her head, she resolved to push those distractions aside and turned to leave. As the sea breeze caressed them, Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan returned to their room. Upon entering, Gu Yechen swiftly closed the door. Seeing his urgency, Jiang Qingyan blushed and teased, "Why the rush?" Her voice carried a playful reproach, her cheeks blooming like delicate peach blossoms. "Rush?" Gu Yechen paused, astonished that the enchanting woman before him was unaware of her own allure. His gaze burned with fervent desire, eager to envelop Jiang Qingyan completely. Inside the room, the atmosphere grew increasingly intimate, and Jiang Qingyan found herself entranced. Her breathing quickened, her heart racing as if the sound echoed in her ears. In the night sky, a crescent moon hung high, casting a beam of light into the room. As if bearing witness to this moment, the salty sea breeze enveloped them in the stillness of the night. A wave of pain surged through her. Though she had experienced it before, it remained as intense as ever. Dark clouds gathered, obscuring the moonlight. As if even the moon felt shy and retreated behind the veil of clouds. Gu Yechen approached with exquisite tenderness. Content omitted for brevity. 3.5 hours later, the stunning woman lay exhausted in Gu Yechen's embrace, her face aglow with happiness as she drifted into slumber. Gu Yechen gazed at Jiang Qingyan with a mix of tenderness and concern, realizing she had been thoroughly worn out by the night's events. Since breaking through to the 7th level of martial arts, he felt his capabilities had intensified, and the previous 2.5 hours had proven insufficient. Gently, he covered Jiang Qingyan with a blanket and placed a soft kiss on her forehead. The following day, the cruise ship had set its course towards the Starry Sea. When the passengers awoke, the vessel had already docked. Yet, the fireworks continued to illuminate the night sky. The screens of the skyscrapers still displayed the breathtaking visage of Jiang Qingyan. Discussions online regarding this extravagant spectacle had become incessant, with trending topics lingering throughout the night, seemingly never to fade. The entire city appeared to be enveloped in the lingering romance of the occasion. Ning Qianxue met with Jiang Qingyan and, observing her countenance, pointed at Gu Yechen, saying, "Yesterday was Xiaoyan's birthday. I wonder if he treasures her." Her tone held a hint of teasing and reproach. "Oh, just wait and see how I will discipline you next time." Gu Yechen regarded Ning Qianxue with a mischievous grin, his eyes gleaming with a hint of rebelliousness. He then gently took Jiang Qingyan's hand and descended together. Their silhouettes, bathed in sunlight, exuded an extraordinary harmony, filled with sweetness and warmth. Ning Qianxue, watching Gu Yechen and Apos' departing figure, felt a smile tugging at her lips, musing to herself, "You wish to discipline me? I doubt you are capable of that." The cruise ship had docked at the pier belonging to Li Jie's company. After escorting Jiang Qingyan home, Gu Yechen, utilizing his hacking skills, tracked down Shun Yunchuan's whereabouts and made his way there directly. Inside a private club, Shun Yunchuan had spent the previous night reveling with a group of rowdy acquaintances, indulging in a full array of drinks, singing, massages, and foot baths. Their laughter and raucous chatter reverberated throughout the room, creating a haze of chaos. Gu Yechen, donning a mask, stealthily infiltrated the club and located Shun Yunchuan's room, swiftly opening the door with deft precision. His movements were agile and resolute, devoid of any hesitation. Within the room, Shun Yunchuan lay sprawled in oblivion, blissfully unaware of the impending confrontation. His snores rose and fell, completely oblivious to the encroaching danger. Chapter 265. A punch that goes straight through. Gu Yechen observed Shun Yunchuan sleeping soundly, and for a moment, he found himself reluctant to awaken him, for he was inherently a gentle soul. With utmost care, Gu Yechen tiptoed towards the sofa and quietly took a seat, opting not to disturb Shun Yunchuan. The room was infused with the lingering scent of alcohol, and while Gu Yechen's expression remained calm, his gaze was as profound as the ocean, lost in contemplation. Half an hour later, Shun Yunchuan stirred awake. Stretching widely, he rubbed his head and mumbled, "Ah, I've drunk too much again." Awake? Gu Yechen's lips curled into a faint smile upon noticing Shun Yunchuan's awakening. Who? Shun Yunchuan immediately turned towards the source of the voice, only to find a man clad entirely in black seated on the sofa, even his hat and mask obscuring his features, rendering him unrecognizable. An involuntary gulp betrayed Shun Yunchuan's sudden surge of fear as he felt an invisible blade poised above him, threatening to strike at any moment. "Who are you? What do you want in my room?" Shun Yunchuan feigned calmness, his voice quivering, revealing the terror that gripped his heart. Gu Yechen rose, a smile gracing his lips as he replied, "I have traveled a long distance to see you. I come bearing gifts." His tone was leisurely yet imbued with an inscrutable undertone. "Do we know each other?" Shun Yunchuan gazed at Gu Yechen, a frown of confusion etching his features. His mind was still clouded, desperately trying to recall this enigmatic figure. "Indeed, Shin Xiao, you seem to have forgotten your benefactors easily." With that, Gu Yechen slowly removed his mask, unveiling a visage so ethereal it took one's breath away. Upon seeing the face beneath the mask, Shun Yunchuan's eyes widened, his pupils constricting sharply, his body trembling uncontrollably. He never anticipated that Gu Yechen could appear here so effortlessly, like a specter. "What do you intend to do?" At this moment, Shun Yunchuan's anxiety reached its zenith, leaving him incapable of rational thought as his heart raced violently. He perceived a chilling intent in Gu Yechen's eyes, one that felt capable of freezing him in an instant. "What do you think?" Gu Yechen raised an eyebrow, a hint of mockery lacing his words. "You haven't forgotten your previous actions against me, have you?" "I haven't. How could I possibly act against you? I am no match for you." Shun Yunchuan, realizing Gu Yechen's purpose, immediately denied any wrongdoing. A singular thought occupied his mind. He must not concede. Only a fool would admit guilt now. "Oh, have I misjudged you? The assassin clearly stated that you had instigated the attack against me." Gu Yechen chuckled lightly. However, to Shun Yunchuan, that laughter resonated like the sinister cackling of a demon from the depths of hell, as if he were on the brink of being mercilessly torn apart. "It cannot be me. Someone must have framed me." Shun Yunchuan watched as Gu Yechen approached, step by deliberate step, each footfall pressing upon his heart until he felt utterly drained. "Do you take me for a fool?" Gu Yechen and Apos' smile was soft yet ominous, sending a shiver down Shun Yunchuan's spine. "Spare me, and I shall relinquish you, Tong." Shun Yunchuan's mental defenses began to crumble, and in his panic, he uttered words he hardly comprehended. "Oh, you would give Yutong to me? I was unaware she belonged to you." Gu Yechen scoffed, his tone dripping with disdain. Shun Yunchuan felt as though struck by lightning as the weight of his foolish words dawned on him. In desperation, he bowed repeatedly before Gu Yechen, casting aside all dignity, as survival became his sole focus. "I am quite amenable. If you were to break your own limbs, I would consider letting you go." Gu Yechen smiled, yet the chill in his expression spread like winter frost. Shun Yunchuan's countenance shifted at this suggestion. Who would willingly inflict such harm upon themselves? Unless they were utterly mad. He glared at Gu Yechen, feigning bravado as he declared, "Don't think I'm afraid of you. The Shin family stands behind me. If you are wise, you will release me and send Xia Yutong to me, or else I shall destroy you." At this moment, Shun Yunchuan sought to leverage the Shun family's influence against Gu Yechen. He was unreserved, knowing the Shun family ranked second in the Xinghai, only slightly inferior to the Shi family, far beyond Gu Yechen's reach. He believed Gu Yechen would hesitate, intimidated by the Shun family's power. "Do you dare to guess my willingness to kill you?" Gu Yechen produced a sharp knife, idly twirling it in his hand, a smile playing on his lips. Yet Shun Yunchuan detected a palpable aura of menace, which swiftly deflated his earlier bravado. Still, he attempted to maintain composure, stating, "There are cameras everywhere." Killing me would leave you no escape. I am a hacker. Before I entered, I disabled all the surrounding surveillance. Even if there were 100 cameras, they would be of no use now. Gu Yechen shrugged, his face etched with disdain. Xin Yunchuan froze momentarily. All cameras had been hacked? The last remnants of hope evaporated within him. Are you ready for the journey ahead? Gu Yechen's tone turned frigid, his gaze sharp as a blade. Seeing Shun Yunchuan fall silent, he sheathed the knife and threw a punch, striking straight through Shun Yunchuan's chest, as if it were a divine act. Don't. Shin Yunchuan barely managed to utter before he was brutally pierced, blood pouring forth and staining his garments. He collapsed to the ground, his eyes dimming as life slipped away. Perhaps this is a bit cruel. I take responsibility. Farewell, may you rest in peace. Gu Yechen pressed his palms together, as if offering a prayer for Shun Yunchuan, before meticulously scanning the room with his piercing eyes, ensuring he left no trace behind. He then departed as silently as he had arrived. Outside, the sun continued to shine brightly, yet for Shin Yunchuan, his world had irrevocably descended into darkness. Unbeknownst to him, time had slipped into noon. Gu Yechen drove to the Shueiyuexian Hotel, having not seen Zhang Yun in several days. With an impending visit to Qingbei University on the morrow, he parked in a designated space and entered the hotel, greeted by numerous well-wishers whom he responded to warmly, devoid of any pretense. The staff found this behavior peculiar, having never encountered such an amiable employer. In the office, Zhang Yun sat at her desk, engrossed in her documents. Knock, knock, knock. A sound echoed from the door. Chapter 266. Atonement with humility, please. Come in. The voice of Zhang Yun resonated, soft and melodious. Gu Yechen stood outside the door, a gentle smile gracing his lips upon hearing her call. Clearing his throat, he pushed the door open, the sound disrupting the tranquility of the moment. His gaze, filled with profound affection, was directed toward Zhang Yun, stirring emotions within him for his first love. She was even more beautiful than he remembered. Acheng, Zhang Yun exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she looked up to see Gu Yechen gazing at her with tenderness. Instinctively, she called out, her voice brimming with surprise and longing, touching the softest corners of her heart, much like a stone cast into a serene lake, creating ripples of emotion. Zhang Yun rose, her high heels clicking rhythmically against the floor, echoing her excited heartbeat. She rushed into Gu Yechen's embrace, holding him tightly as if to meld into his very being, vowing never to part again. You've worked hard, Gu Yechen murmured, wrapping his arms around her with a gentle touch. He inhaled the faint, intoxicating fragrance emanating from her, a scent that captivated him entirely. Zhang Yun shook her head in response. I am not weary. She fell silent, content to remain in Gu Yechen and Appo's arms, a radiant smile illuminating her face. With a sigh, Gu Yechen cradled her delicate face in his hands and pressed his lips against hers without hesitation, embodying the essence of a passionate and possessive lover. This kiss was fervent, seemingly pouring all their affection into that singular moment. Zhang Yun, momentarily taken aback, felt her heart race, responding to his unexpected advance, as if conveying her deepest feelings for him. 3.5 hours later, they sat together on the sofa, both appearing satisfied yet fatigued. Despite this, Zhang Yun's face still radiated happiness. You seem to last longer each time. I can hardly keep up. What shall we do in the future? Zhang Yun leaned against Gu Yechen's chest, her fingers playfully tracing his muscular form, her actions laced with a hint of teasing intimacy. Fear not. I shall assist you when the opportunity arises, Gu Yechen replied, his fingers brushing through her hair, the subtle fragrance lingering in the air. His voice was tender, pleasing to Zhang Yun's ears. Tomorrow, we shall head to Qingbei, but we must bring another person along, someone akin to you. Is that acceptable? Gu Yechen gently kissed her forehead, his tone imbued with affection. Zhang Yun felt a twinge of disappointment, but quickly adjusted her emotions, recognizing that her present self was a reflection of Gu Yechen's influence. He had long declared that she would not be the sole woman in his life. Taking a deep breath, she smiled and replied, all right. With a smile, Zhang Yun stood and approached her desk, continuing, I will go prepare. Her movements were graceful, her eyes sparkling with anticipation for their journey to Kyoto. Gu Yechen nodded, instructing, let Zhang Zhe handle the arrangements at the hotel. Zhang Yun agreed and promptly dialed Zhang Zhe and Appo's number. Meanwhile, Zhang Zhe was in his office, reviewing hotel documents. Noticing a discrepancy that caused him to furrow his brow in contemplation, the phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. Upon seeing his sister and Appo's name, he was momentarily taken aback, pondering why she would call him instead of the boss. Nevertheless, he answered, Sister, congratulations. Zhang Yun, perplexed, had yet to utter a word before her brother and Appo's teasing comment left her bewildered. What do you mean, you little rascal? Why congratulate me? Zhang Zhe, in a hushed tone, replied, Sister, I just saw brother-in-law heading to your office. You two have been in there for quite some time. Do you not grasp my meaning? He quickly hung up, exhaling in relief, not daring to hear his sister's response, fearful of reproach. Zhang Yun sat in astonishment, staring at her phone, unable to believe her brother's audacity. Instantly, she called him back. At that moment, Zhang Zhe, having relaxed, was startled when Zhang Yun's call came through again. Trembling slightly, he answered, "My dearest sister, how may I serve you? Get yourself to my office immediately, or beware of my wrath," Zhang Yun declared, her tone stern and serious. Without waiting for a response, she hung up. Zhang Zhe slapped his forehead, exclaiming, "Oh no, I'm finished." His face paled as panic set in. Nevertheless, he composed himself and made his way to Zhang Yun's office, already devising his surrender strategy along the way. "What's wrong? Why the anger?" Gu Yeqing inquired. Noticing the shift in Zhang Yun and Appo's demeanor, he stood and approached her, gently massaging her shoulders. "It and Appo's, that brother of mine," he dared to say. Zhang Yun blushed, hesitating to reveal further, her voice tinged with both shyness and annoyance. Gu Yeqing furrowed his brow, curious about Zhang Zhe's behavior. What happened to him? Before Zhang Yun could respond, a knock echoed through the room. "Sister, I've come to atone," Zhang Zhe called from outside. Gu Yeqing was taken aback, bewildered by the situation. What prompted such a declaration of contrition? As a seventh-tier warrior, he had keen hearing. Surely, Zhang Zhe had merely spoken the truth. "Come in," Zhang Yun commanded, her tone shifting to one of authority. Gu Yeqing couldn't and Appo's help but admire her swift transformation. "Oh no," Zhang Zhe thought, sensing impending doom. He forced a professional smile as he opened the door, immediately dropping to his knees, holding 3 pins to his forehead in a gesture of submission. Chapter 267. Zhang Yun was at a loss for words. Upon witnessing the scene, Gu Yeqing couldn't help but burst into laughter, instantly dispelling his previously indifferent demeanor. Zhang Yun's expression fell as she observed Zhang Zhe's antics. Upon hearing the laughter, Zhang Zhe looked up and, as if he had grasped a lifeline, exclaimed, "Brother-in-law, you're here. Please, be quiet," Zhang Yun replied, her face a picture of exasperation, her eyes reflecting a blend of disbelief and irritation. "Here you are, kneeling with 3 signature pins in hand. So reverent, one might think I've already passed away and you're preparing to send me off." Zhang Yun's tone was tinged with a mixture of amusement and frustration, her voice betraying her annoyance at Zhang Zhe's ridiculous behavior. Zhang Zhe quickly stashed the pins in his pocket, offering an awkward smile as he said, "Sister, I realize my mistake. Please, show mercy just this once." His smile bore the unmistakable undertones of flattery and supplication. Zhang Yun shot him a glare, retorting, "Show you mercy? Dream on." Although her tone was firm, a glimmer of amusement flickered in her eyes. All right, let us not dwell on it. Zhang Zhe does speak the truth," Gu Yeqing chimed in, his warm smile causing Zhang Yun to momentarily pause. Zhang Yun's eyes widened in disbelief as she turned to Gu Yeqing, her cheeks flushing as she stammered, "Why, you heard?" Her voice was filled with astonishment and bashfulness, her cheeks resembling ripe apples. Gu Yeqing pointed to his ears and replied, "My hearing is quite good." His expression held a teasing quality, yet his gaze brimmed with gentleness. In that moment, Zhang Yun felt an overwhelming urge to reprimand Zhang Zhe and send him away to the Arctic, wishing to hide away in a crevice. Her eyes were filled with embarrassment, longing to disappear. After a brief silence, Zhang Yun huffed and declared, "This time, I'll let you off for Achen's sake. But if there's next time, I'll make sure to deal with you." Though her tone remained stern, it had softened considerably. "Get up," she feigned seriousness. Zhang Zhe quickly nodded, thanking her and Gu Yeqing profusely, his face alight with gratitude as he scrambled to his feet. "Tomorrow, your sister and I will be heading to Kyoto. You're in charge here. Do you have confidence?" Gu Yeqing inquired, his tone amicable yet laced with an underlying pressure. His sharp gaze fixed on Zhang Zhe. "Kyoto?" Zhang Zhe paused, then recollected that Gu Yeqing was still a student. "Brother-in-law, don't worry. I'm well prepared and fully informed." He patted his chest, exuding confidence, his eyes filled with seriousness as if ready to face any challenge, surprising both Gu Yeqing and Zhang Yun. "I must emphasize, you have to approach this with diligence. If I discover any issues, I will not hesitate to dismiss you," Zhang Yun warned, her expression stern, unwilling to allow any problems to arise in Gu Yeqing's business affairs. "Rest assured, sister. Have you not witnessed my dedication to work lately?" Zhang Zhe retorted, his voice slightly dismissive. He continued, "I've even uncovered an embezzlement case, which I'm currently contemplating how to address." A hint of hesitation crossed his face as he pondered the gravity of the situation. Intrigued, Gu Yeqing encouraged, "Do share." Zhang Yun leaned in, eager to hear Zhang Zhe and Appo's explanation, their expressions shifting to focus, prepared to absorb whatever solution he proposed. "Recently, the head of the procurement department embezzled 5 million. I'm still considering how to resolve it," Zhang Zhe revealed, his demeanor shifting to one of concern, as the seriousness of the situation weighed heavily on him. After all, he lacked the authority to act decisively. "How do you intend to handle it?" Zhang Yun queried, her eyes bright with expectation, hoping for a reasonable solution from Zhang Zhe. "I propose we demand he repay the full amount and then dismiss him," Zhang Zhe suggested after a moment's thought. "To him. 5 million wasn't an exorbitant sum for Shiyu Exuan Hotel, but setting a precedent against such behavior was crucial. Otherwise, it might embolden others to follow suit. His tone wavered with uncertainty, knowing that if it were his own company, he would have pursued legal action without hesitation. And then, Zhang Yun pressed, her expression grave, indicating that such a situation warranted serious action, potentially involving law enforcement and evidence collection for prosecution. Well, didn't he brother-in-law mention that sometimes it's acceptable to overlook certain things? Zhang Zai's voice dropped, uncertainty creeping in. He recalled his sister advising him that occasionally, one could turn a blind eye, accepting the money and allowing the matter to rest, hence his current thought process. That was in the past. Things are different now. We must impose strict penalties for embezzlement, Zhang Yun replied earnestly, reflecting on the change in circumstances since she had become more acquainted with Gu Yechen. Her tone was resolute and left no room for debate. Understood. I promise to fulfill this task, Zhang Zai exclaimed, having long been displeased with the corruption he had witnessed. Very well, effective immediately. You are the Vice General Manager of Shiyu Exuan. Apart from the two of us, you hold the highest authority. Don't let your sister and me down. If I find you engaging in any corrupt practices, you're out, Gu Yechen stated amicably. Yet his words carried a weight of authority that commanded respect. Thank you, Chairman and General Manager, for your trust. Zhang Zai instantly shifted his demeanor, adopting a serious expression and straightening his posture, embodying determination. Off you go, Zhang Yun waved her hand dismissively. However, Zhang Zai hesitated, remaining in place, which puzzled Zhang Yun. At that moment, Gu Yechen gestured, smiling as he said, if your sister and I are present, you should heed her. Yes, boss, Zhang Zai responded respectfully as he exited, closing the door behind him and exhaling deeply. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and pressure, thrilled to have gained authority, yet anxious about meeting expectations. This guy? Zhang Yun remarked, half amused, half exasperated as she stood up. Gu Yechen placed a gentle kiss on her forehead and said, let us go. Zhang Yun nodded in agreement. Gu Yechen proceeded to the office to issue a notice before driving to the British residence, while Zhang Yun busied herself with packing. Gu Yechen sat on the sofa, dialing a call to Xia Yutong. Chapter 268. Preparation on the other side. Xia Yutong was also tidying up her belongings. Her room was strewn with clothes and various daily necessities, and she meticulously arranged her luggage, placing each item neatly into her suitcase, as she held a strong reliance on her possessions. Upon seeing Gu Yechen's call, her face lit up with joy, for he had not contacted her for several days, and she had begun to fear he had forgotten her. In that moment, her world seemed to brighten, overflowing with delight. Hello, Yechen. Xia Yutong's sweet voice emerged, infused with a hint of surprise. This made Gu Yechen feel a bit bashful, realizing he had been remiss in reaching out after their first encounter. Shall we go to school together tomorrow? I will pick you up, all right? Gu Yechen's gentle voice resonated deeply within Xia Yutong, causing her cheeks to flush. She had wanted to suggest the same, but was unsure if he was busy or willing to accompany her. Xia Yutong's heart raced like a startled fawn, and with a hint of shyness in her voice, she replied, I will wait for you. A radiant smile graced her face. She had not anticipated Gu Yechen would take the initiative to speak to her, filling her heart with sweetness. However, she quickly recalled, but there will be another girl accompanying us tomorrow. She is my first woman. Gu Yechen stated directly, leaving Xia Yutong momentarily stunned, unable to regain her composure. She had been eagerly anticipating a private journey with Gu Yechen, only to discover there would be others. It felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over her, stirring a sense of discomfort within. I understand. Xia Yutong took a moment to steady her emotions. She was aware that Gu Yechen had other women in his life, but she had not expected this realization to come so soon, leaving her somewhat disheartened. Gu Yechen hesitated, but was interrupted by Xia Yutong. She smiled and said, it's fine. You mentioned it before, so I was prepared. She endeavored to make her voice sound lighthearted, though the slight tremor at the end revealed her inner turmoil. I thought you were ignoring me. Xia Yutong gazed out the window, her tone somewhat melancholic. The sunlight streaming outside illuminated her face, but could not dispel the gloom within her heart. Upon hearing the sadness in Xia Yutong's voice, Gu Yechen quickly interjected, pish-posh. Don't overthink. Be careful, or I might have to teach you a lesson next time. His voice carried an urgency, immediately soothing Xia Yutong's spirits. Xia Yutong chuckled and, with a blush, replied, just don't be too fierce. I can't withstand your antics. Her voice dwindled, fearing she might be overheard. Her bashful demeanor evoked a sense of affection in those who beheld her. Don't think too much. I will take you out for dinner tonight. And you can meet the girl who will join us tomorrow. Is that all right? Gu Yechen inquired tentatively, his tone laced with inquiry. Sure, I would like to meet her. I can't handle this alone, Xia Yutong responded, her cheeks flushed. It was indeed the truth. Which girl could endure a few hours alone? Though a hint of sadness lingered in her heart, she understood it was unavoidable. All right, I will pick you up at 6. Gu Yechen smiled, his voice brimming with anticipation. hoping for a harmonious interaction between Zhang Yun and Xia Yutong that evening. I and Oppos. I'll wait for you. Xia Yutong softly replied before hanging up. She selected a youthful and vibrant dress, spinning before the mirror with satisfaction, eagerly anticipating her meeting with Gu Yechen later. Achen. Gu Yechen was engrossed in the news when he suddenly heard Zhang Yun's voice, soft yet laced with urgency, instantly capturing his attention. Coming. Gu Yechen stood up and swiftly walked towards the bedroom. What's wrong? He asked upon seeing Zhang Yun packing her belongings, his eyes filled with concern. Where will I stay after we go to Kyoto? Zhang Yun suddenly remembered something important, her expression tense as she inquired, uncertainty reflected in her gaze about Gu Yechen's plans. She paused her actions, turning to look at him, awaiting his response. Gu Yechen embraced her from behind, whispering softly, the school has assigned me a standalone house. Would you like to live with me in Yutong? His voice was deep and gentle, brushing past Zhang Yun's ear with an irresistible allure, causing her cheeks to flush. Yutong. Zhang Yun paused, recalling the girl who would accompany them to Kyoto the next day, her heart filled with apprehension about how she would interact with Xia Yutong. I think I'll pass. I'm not part of your school, and living together would likely face scrutiny, Zhang Yun replied. Her concern evident as she declined Gu Yechen's offer, her brow slightly furrowed. I have business there, including a hotel. I can arrange for you to be the general manager. Additionally, I will buy a villa near the school for you. I will be visiting. Gu Yechen rested his chin on Zhang Yun's neck, his warm breath sending shivers down her spine, her face turning a deep shade of red. All right, but can I handle it? Things might be different there. Zhang Yun expressed her worries, fearing she might not be able to cope. Her gaze revealed a hint of hesitation. You are my woman. I'm the boss. Who would dare say otherwise? Gu Yechen confidently turned Zhang Yun to face him, wrapping her in his arms. His eyes burned with determination. Hearing Gu Yechen's words warmed Zhang Yun's heart. You are my woman. Who dares to say otherwise? It was the very sense of security every girl yearns for. Reflecting on her past hardships, tears welled in her eyes, but she felt fortunate to have met Gu Yechen. Everything felt brighter now. Why are you crying? Gu Yechen noticed the shift in Zhang Yun's emotions and asked, concern lacing his voice as he gently wiped away her tears. I'm fine. I was just thinking about some other things. Zhang Yun forced a smile. Gu Yechen playfully poked her nose with his finger, saying, little crybaby, if you keep crying, you want to be beautiful. His tone was tender, infused with affection. His gentle gestures and warmth filled Zhang Yun with happiness and a sense of security. Before long, it was 5:30. Gu Yechen took Zhang Yun's belongings home, then drove a Mercedes G-Class to pick up Xia Yutong, who sat in the back seat, avoiding the front passenger seat. At the Xia residence, is this your sister? Xia Yutong smiled sweetly upon seeing Zhang Yun, feeling an unusual connection, and they immediately began chatting in the back seat. Soon, the trio arrived at a pre-booked Chinese restaurant. Observing the interaction between the two women, Gu Yechen felt pleased. Relieved there was no tension. After dinner, they took a leisurely drive home. After dropping Xia Yutong off, he watched as she and Zhang Yun lingered, reluctant to part, causing him to wonder if he had lost his charm. In the English manner, Gu Yechen parked the car in the garage and said, tonight, let us stay here. Chapter 269. Bring me 100 physical enhancement pills. The following morning, at 6:30, dawn light gently streamed through the gaps in the curtains, casting a soft glow across the room. Gu Yechen rubbed his eyes. Zhang Yun was still asleep, her face appearing particularly serene under the morning light. Gu Yechen chose not to disturb her and carefully rose to freshen up. System, I would like a luxury car with a Kyoto license plate. Could you arrange that for me? Gu Yechen communicated with the system while washing up. Ding. Detection of the host's strong request, deducting 10 billion funds. Rewarded with a 4-seater hypercar, Koenigsegg Jesko. Only 6 exist globally. License plate number, Jing 66666. What a shrewd merchant. Gu Yechen muttered as he brushed his teeth. Yet his heart was overflowing with joy. The thought of acquiring that license plate on his own was utterly preposterous. He mused that in the future, he could simply request anything he desired from the system. So convenient and expedient. After completing his morning routine, Gu Yechen changed his clothes and prepared 3 breakfasts in the dining room before going upstairs to wake Zhang Yun. By then, she had already finished her own grooming, emanating a delicate fragrance. After breakfast, everything was set. Gu Yechen led Zhang Yun to the garage, where he unveiled the new car provided by the system. Its sleek lines and stunning exterior were simply breathtaking. Ah Chen, what is this? Zhang Yun inquired, astonished. She had not seen the car the previous night. How could it possibly be here upon waking? Her eyes brimmed with confusion. It's my new car. Isn't it beautiful? Gu Yechen affectionately ruffled her hair, a smile of pride illuminating his face. Gu Yechen drove Zhang Yun to the Qinyan group. Sister. Upon arrival, he navigated with ease to Jiang Qingyan's office. So early. Jiang Qingyan was taken aback upon seeing Gu Yechen, quickly rising to face him. A hint of fatigue lingered on her features, clearly indicating a late night of work. I'm heading to Qingbei University, Gu Yechen said softly, his voice tender and laced with affection. Realization dawned upon Jiang Qingyan. She had been so preoccupied that she had forgotten such an important matter. A flicker of guilt crossed her eyes as she remarked, I can't believe I forgot about your enrollment. Sister, you and Apos, VE worked hard. Gu Yechen gently kissed her forehead, his soft touch brimming with love for Jiang Qingyan. He then produced a small box and placed it before her. What is this? Jiang Qingyan exclaimed in disbelief, having thought Gu Yechen had already given it away. Her heart raced, filled with anticipation and surprise. Gu Yechen opened the box and revealed an exquisite necklace. The gemstones sparkled with dazzling brilliance. He had purchased it during their auction outing, intending it as a birthday gift, only to have forgotten. Please put it on for me. Jiang Qingyan playfully tossed her hair aside, exposing her porcelain neck. The elegant curve resembled that of a swan, captivating to behold. Gu Yechen leaned down and placed a gentle kiss upon her alabaster skin. Instantly, her cheeks flushed crimson, and she trembled slightly. In that fleeting moment, she felt the profound love and warmth emanating from Gu Yechen. Even if he hailed from elsewhere, what did it matter? Wasn't it a stroke of fortune for Jiang Qingyan to encounter him? This thought enveloped her heart with warmth. Fortunately, Gu Yechen refrained from further actions, merely fastening the necklace around her neck. Sister, I've entrusted the Leap group to you. I've already made arrangements. Gu Yechen whispered near her ear, his voice deep and magnetic, easily drawing one into reverie. Jiang Qingyan paused, pondering why she had been tasked with such arrangements. Nevertheless, it did not matter. She adored the man before her. With a smile, she nodded and assured him, rest assured, I will manage it well. Gu Yechen accompanied Jiang Qingyan to the laboratory, where Feng Tianlong and Fan Jingde were diligently working. They had been stationed there for at least 10 hours daily, focused on refining experimental data, as the physical enhancement pills had proven excruciating to consume. Old Feng, old Fan. Gu Yechen greeted them respectfully, his tone humble and warm. Yechen, what brings you here? Fan Jingde exclaimed, astonished, his eyes wide with disbelief. Gu Yechen smiled and replied, I'm heading to Qingbei University today. I'll be reporting in a couple of days. Fan Jingde slapped his forehead, exclaiming, how could I forget you were still a student? His acknowledgement of Gu Yechen and Apos' myriad capabilities had overshadowed the fact that he was, indeed, still a student. Who could fathom such talent from a scholar? An awkward smile graced his face as he shook his head. Old Fan, how is the situation? Gu Yechen inquired, his gaze earnest and filled with hope for positive news. Fan Jingde pondered for a moment before responding. We have thoroughly examined the raw materials and found no issues. However, the newly produced physical enhancement pills still induce severe pain. Yet, after another trial with Lieutenant Tang, the situation improved significantly. His expression was serious, and his tone conveyed the gravity of the report. Gu Yechen nodded, asking, how many do we have now? Currently, we have produced 1,000 pills in strict accordance with requirements during this period. Fan Jingde replied, his eyes betraying a hint of curiosity regarding Gu Yechen's intentions. Bring me 100. I intend to distribute some to those around me, and the remainder will accompany me to Kyoto, Gu Yechen stated firmly, his tone resolute and unyielding. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's request, Fan Jingde appeared troubled, unsure of how to respond, as he lacked the authority to grant such a demand. While he could decide on ordinary matters, the physical enhancement pills were of a different nature altogether. Gu Yechen sensed his hesitation and reassured him, you needn't overthink it. I possess 62% of the shares, making me the chairman of the company. His gaze conveyed an unmistakable authority that left no room for argument. Fan Jingde was momentarily speechless, caught between his desire to comply and the constraints of protocol. The pills were designated for military use, and unless Gu Yechen chose to impersonate a soldier, he had no choice but to acquiesce to the regulations. With a resigned shake of his head, he sighed. Let us not put old Fan in a bind. Feng Tianlong interjected with a knowing smile. I believe it would be best if you took care of this matter yourself. We are bound by rules and regulations. Without directives from above, we cannot simply allocate the physical enhancement pills. However, your situation is unique, as you are the one who contributed to their creation and hold a significant stake in the company. His tone remained calm and understanding. Chapter 270. Personally assembling 200 physical enhancement pills. Gu Yechen pondered for a moment and promptly set about crafting 200 physical enhancement pills. Yechen, didn't you say 100? Feng Tianlong and Fan Jingde were left dumbfounded, their eyes wide in astonishment as they gazed at the pills in Gu Yechen's hands. Speechless in their surprise. There's no way. If it were you doing it, it would be 100. But since I'm doing it myself, of course. It exceeds that. Gu Yechen chuckled, storing the items away with a proud smile on his face. He had managed to create an additional 100. He took out 10 pills and handed them to Jiang Qingyan, saying, Sister, take one of these pills each week, and you will notice significant changes in your physique. Perhaps you might even step into the realm of martial arts. The remaining 5 are for Xiaoxua. Gu Yechen regarded Jiang Qingyan with a serious expression, his eyes brimming with anticipation, hoping she could enhance her physique through the pills. Perhaps, in the future, our union will last longer. Gu Yechen leaned closer to Jiang Qingyin's ear, whispering softly, causing her to blush and shiver as he blew gently. Jiang Qingyin smiled, accepting the gifts. I understand. Are you leaving now? She gazed at Gu Yechen with a hint of reluctance, her eyes filled with affection, evoking a sense of heartache. Yes, but rest assured. I will return whenever I can. I cannot bear to leave such a stunning beauty like you alone. Gu Yechen replied with a beaming smile, his gaze imbued with warmth and a hint of mischief. Upon hearing this, Jiang Qingyin's cheeks flushed, and she hugged Gu Yechen tightly, saying, take care of yourself. I will manage things here at the company. Her voice was choked with emotion, revealing her deep reluctance to part with him. Due to her busy schedule, Jiang Qingyin had not yet purchased a home. Gu Yechen offered her the use of his English-style manor, as it was simply sitting empty. After exchanging farewells, Gu Yechen provided Qin Lang with several physical enhancement pills to distribute to Su Yin, Tong Wenwen, and Han Chuxia, 5 pills for each. He then drove to pick up Xia Yutong with Zhang Yun as his passenger. As Gu Yechen sped down the road in his new car, Zhang Yun sat in the back seat, having opted not to take the front due to space constraints. Nevertheless, she felt particularly elated. Soon, they arrived at Xia Yutong's residence. Xia Yutong had been waiting at the door, dressed in a refreshing blue dress, exuding an air of youthful charm. As she saw Gu Yechen's car come to a halt, her face lit up with a radiant smile. Yechen, she exclaimed joyfully, rushing over. Gu Yechen opened the car door with a smile, saying, hop in. Upon noticing Zhang Yun in the back seat, Xia Yutong promptly entered and shyly greeted, Sister Yun. Zhang Yun smiled back, asking, have you eaten yet? Xia Yutong shook her head, a bit too excited to have remembered. Zhang Yun chuckled lightly and handed her a sandwich and a carton of milk, saying, Yechen made this himself. Feeling a bit shy, Xia Yutong accepted the offering and took small bites. Meanwhile, the Gao brothers loaded their luggage onto the luxury SUV, following Gu Yechen and the others. The trio climbed into the vehicle, heading towards Qingbei University, sharing laughter and a delightful atmosphere along the way. In a conference room in Kyoto, a group of individuals was engaged in a heated discussion. Dragon Master, this Gu Yechen has gone too far. What right does he have to take away 200 physical enhancement pills? These belong to the state and should be returned. A middle-aged man exclaimed, visibly displeased. I believe you are being unreasonable. Young Gu generously provided the formula for the pills, using his own company's funds. The land originally developed for this purpose was left unused. Now that he requires the pills, what is the harm in him taking a few? Remarked an older gentleman. I concur, especially since Gu Yechen could have chosen not to share this at all. He could have collaborated with foreign powers. Yet he chose to work with our nation instead. Understand that he holds 62% of the shares while the state only possesses 38. He is, in essence, the manager here. Another elderly man chimed in, his voice tinged with indignation. As voices rose and fell, the initial speaker and Apos' expression darkened. He had merely wished to advocate for the nation. I see no issue with this. Gu Yechen possesses significant abilities. With him, our nation will grow stronger. The Dragon Master finally spoke after a long silence, and all present nodded in agreement. Dragon Master, it is said that Gu Yechen has driven to Kyoto today. Attending school at Qingbei, someone mentioned. Gu Yechen has made many enemies during his time at Shanghai, including those from the Liu family, another added. The Liu family? The Dragon Master's half-closed eyes snapped open as he turned towards the speaker. Indeed, Liu Fei visited Shanghai previously and almost lost his life there. He may have been fine in Shanghai, but once Gu Yechen arrives in Kyoto, the Liu family will likely not let him off easily, came the response. Let us discuss our course of action, the Dragon Master commanded. Should we not send someone to protect him discreetly? One suggested. I've heard that Gu Yechen cherishes his freedom and detests restrictions. Covert protection would likely be unwelcome, the Dragon Master replied. For now, let us remain passive. We shall adapt as circumstances change. Additionally, allocate half of the physical enhancement pills for the special forces to bolster the first line of defense, the Dragon Master ordered. His gaze firm. And the other half? Someone inquired. Distribute them to those in the martial arts realm to see if we can enhance our nation's martial strength. Should a unique conflict arise, we must be prepared to vanquish our foes, the Dragon Master replied with a faint smile. At the Shungen Hotel in Kyoto, the third largest yet most popular hotel in the city, which now belonged entirely to Gu Yechen, he arrived at the entrance, drawing a crowd of onlookers who had never seen such a vehicle before. What an impressive car. I've never seen anything like it. Someone exclaimed. A security guard approached, inquiring. Good day, sir. How may I assist you? With a smile, Gu Yechen replied, please park the car. He then exited the vehicle with Zhang Yun and Xia Yutong. Instantly, the crowd erupted in excitement, particularly the women who were captivated by Gu Yechen's good looks, while the men fixated on Zhang Yun and Xia Yutong. When will I ever be able to experience such luxury and beauty? A man lamented. Please, with your looks, how could you even compare? Another retorted. The security guard accepted the keys, glancing nervously at the luxurious interior. It was his first time encountering such a high-end vehicle. Upon entering the hotel, Gu Yechen was immediately approached by staff. Chapter 271. The Pest of the Hotel, sir. Ladies, how may I assist you? A female attendant approached with a warm yet professional smile, inquiring politely. At that moment, the hotel lobby manager happened to pass by and witnessed the scene. Upon seeing Gu Yechen, her eyes widened in shock, and she promptly walked over. You may leave now. I will handle this, she instructed. Her voice tinged with a hint of anxiety as she gestured for the attendant to step aside. Understood, Manager Wang. The attendant departed. Gu Yechen observed her, and immediately, data materialized in his mind. Name, Wang Li. Age, 29. Appearance, 85. Health status, early signs of liver cancer. Number of times developed, 1. Gu Yechen furrowed his brow. Early signs of liver cancer? It appears that cancer is indeed becoming more prevalent among the youth. A flicker of pity crossed his gaze as he contemplated the tragic fate of someone so young afflicted by such a disease. Mr. Gu, how may I be of service? Wang Li smiled respectfully at Gu Yechen. How do you know who I am? Gu Yechen inquired, taken aback. He believed he had never appeared here before. Yet it seemed that the staff recognized him. A sense of confusion enveloped him. Please, this way. Wang Li gestured elegantly to the three of them, leading them to a seating area and offering them each a bottle of water. The hotel lobby is designed for guests to rest, and anyone is welcome to enter. Mr. Gu, your name and photo are in the hotel leadership group, but only the management is aware of this, Wang Li explained, her tone respectful and courteous. Gu Yechen was somewhat surprised, considering this recognition was a reward from the system. He pondered silently. Is this your doing, system? Gu Yechen questioned. How could you call it mischief? This system merely ensures your identity is confirmed to prevent anyone from underestimating the host. Otherwise, it would reflect poorly on this system. The system's voice chimed in, leaving Gu Yechen both amused and perplexed, as he often found himself questioning the nature of the system. Regaining his composure, Gu Yechen smiled and said, I see, then please arrange a presidential suite for me. His tone remained light and untroubled, as he did not take the matter to heart, recognizing it as the system's handiwork. Of course, Mr. Gu. Wang Li stood up and expertly maneuvered at the front desk, soon returning with a room key for Gu Yechen. Her movements were fluid, showcasing her remarkable professionalism. Mr. Gu, this is our hotel's most luxurious presidential suite, offering a stunning view of the night sky. Furthermore, this suite is now reserved exclusively for you, allowing you to stay at any time without conditions. Wang Li maintained her smile, exuding confidence. Thank you. Do your best at work, and inform everyone that there will be a meeting in half an hour, Gu Yechen replied with a warm smile, which conveyed encouragement as he led Zhang Yun and Xia Yutong to the presidential suite. Qin Lang and the others carried the luggage to the room before stepping out. Inside, Gu Yechen glanced at the documents in his hand, his expression darkening. This was the hotel information he had just received from the system. It contained a plethora of corruption reports involving the general manager, deputy manager, and administrative director, with over a third implicated in corrupt activities. This ignited a sense of fury within him, his eyes blazing with anger. Xia Yutong examined the luxurious decor of the room, clearly satisfied, while Zhang Yun noticed Gu Yechen's grim countenance and hurried over, gently pressing his shoulder. Ah Chen, what's wrong? You look troubled, she asked softly, her voice filled with concern. Upon hearing Zhang Yun's words, Xia Yutong rushed over as well, her expression equally anxious as she regarded Gu Yechen with worry and inquiry in her eyes. Gu Yechen handed the documents to Zhang Yun. She glanced at the materials and instantly radiated fury. These individuals must be dealt with, she declared, her voice brimming with indignation and determination to bring them to justice. Gu Yechen nodded and said, Yutong, please rest here. Zhang Yun and I will confront them. His tone was gentle yet resolute, imbued with determination. Xia Yutong, understanding her presence would be unhelpful, obediently nodded and instructed, please be safe. Her voice carried a note of concern. Half an hour later, in the conference room, everyone looked at Wang Li with puzzlement. At that moment, Chen Daping, the supervisor of the logistics department, questioned, Wang Li, you summoned everyone here for a meeting but said nothing. What does this mean? His voice carried a hint of dissatisfaction and inquiry. This is not my intent. It was simply requested that a meeting be called, Wang Li replied calmly and steadily, unaffected by Chun Daping and Appo's accusations. Not your intent. Whose intent is it then? We are busy. Do you have any idea how much this delay will cost us? With that, Chen Daping stood up, clearly agitated and impatient, attempting to leave. At that moment, the conference room door swung open. All eyes turned to see Gu Yechen, his face concealed by a mask, entering with a stormy expression. He proceeded directly to the main seat, with the general manager, Fang Sheng, seated to his right. Fang looked at Gu Yechen with confusion. He did not recognize this masked young man and wondered why he was seated there, as this position should belong to the hotel's owner. His expression reflected bewilderment and discontent. Who are you? How dare you sit here? Get out! Chen Daping shouted angrily, his voice sharp and filled with arrogance and rudeness. In a flash, Qin Lang stepped forward and slapped Chen Daping across the face. Chen Daping had never experienced such a situation. The blow was firm enough to cause him to spit blood, his cheek swelling in shock and fury. He could not believe someone would dare to strike him, especially in this conference room. His eyes were wide with astonishment and rage. I will sue you. Chen Daping pointed at Qin Lang, his voice trembling with indignation and veiled threats. Oh, you wish to sue me? Gu Yechen removed his mask, revealing a benign smile. Though it was laced with an icy undertone, his gaze was cold and piercing, fixed intently on Chen Daping. Upon seeing Gu Yechen's face, everyone in the room gasped, some drawing in sharp breaths. Chen Daping, who had just spoken, stood frozen, utterly dumbfounded. He had not anticipated that the person before him was the new owner of the hotel. He had seen Gu Yechen's photo in the group chat. Yet now he found himself in direct conflict with him, causing his face to drain of color. Good day, Mr. Gu. The lobby manager Wang Li quickly regained her composure and greeted him. The others followed suit, their voices tinged with tension. Gu Yechen placed several documents on the table, while Qin Lang pulled a chair for Zhang Yun behind Gu Yechen. Everyone, I would like to inquire why there are so many discrepancies in the hotel's accounts. General Manager Fong, would you care to explain? Gu Yechen's gaze was sharp as he addressed Fong Shang, his voice imbued with authority that sent chills down their spines. Chapter 272. Addressing corruption. Fong Xing was caught off guard by Gu Yechen's sudden confrontation, hastily explaining, recently, the hotel has experienced a slight increase in expenses, which may cause some discrepancies in the accounts. This is quite normal. There have always been minor inconsistencies, but they are never substantial. His voice trembled slightly, and his gaze wandered, clearly attempting to feign calmness. Gu Yechen snorted coldly, astonished that the issue of embezzlement was being dismissed as mere operational costs. Had he not intervened, the extent of the corruption would have remained undiscovered. How much longer can one tolerate this? He thought. What about this? Gu Yechen produced the documents detailing Chen Daping's embezzlement and tossed them onto Fong Xing's desk. The papers floated down, seemingly striking Fong Xing's heart with a heavy thud, causing him to feel a surge of anxiety. Fong Shang, bewildered by the overwhelming presence of Gu Yechen, despite being his senior, felt a disorienting sense of fear. He glanced at the documents, and his complexion paled instantly. Stealing a look at Gu Yechen, he found him smiling benignly. Yet that seemingly kind expression chilled him to the bone. Do you not understand, Manager Fong? Gu Yechen inquired with a smile, tapping the documents lightly. Let me clarify. Chen Daping, how much have you embezzled during your tenure here? Will you confess, or shall I reveal the amount myself? His tone was measured, yet it carried an undeniable weight of pressure. Upon hearing his name mentioned in relation to embezzlement, Chen Daping's heart raced. He never imagined Gu Yechen would uncover his misdeeds. And in that moment, he was at a loss for words, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, fear and panic evident in his eyes. Since you choose silence, allow me to elaborate. Gu Yechen's expression darkened, and an icy atmosphere enveloped the room, causing the temperature to drop perceptibly. You have worked at Shungan Hotel for 6 years, during which you have embezzled over 30 million. Do you have anything to say? Gu Yechen's gaze pierced through Chen Daping, whose face was now ghostly pale, appearing utterly lost. The sharpness of Gu Yechen's eye seemed capable of penetrating Chen Daping's very soul, leaving him nowhere to hide. I offer you 2 choices. First, repay the 30 million and leave. I will inform the industry of your situation. Second, you may forego repayment, but I will prosecute you, and you will face dire consequences. Gu Yechen's tone remained calm, yet the menace emanating from him was palpable. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's ultimatum, Chen Daping's already pale visage turned even whiter. He simply did not possess such funds. His lips quavered as he attempted to articulate a response, yet no sound emerged. I currently have only 5 million, he stammered, filled with despair and helplessness, already envisioning his grim fate. You need not elaborate. I comprehend your situation, Gu Yechen declared, recognizing that Chen Daping could not furnish the required amount, condemning him to a life of imprisonment. His eyes revealed no sympathy. For those guilty of corruption, he would show no mercy. Subsequently, Gu Yechen pointed out each individual involved in the web of graft and bribery, all of whom were unable to repay their debts. Only Fong Sheng remained, trembling in fear. Manager Fong, do you believe you are exempt from this? Gu Yechen inquired with a smile, gently tapping the documents once more. The noise resonated sharply in the silent conference room, each tap echoing like a hammer against Fong Sheng's heart. Fong Sheng, trembling, rose to his feet and stammered, Gu Director, I am willing to repay the amount owed. His voice quaked with trepidation, lacking the previous bravado and composure. Ensure you cover theirs as well. You have certainly benefited from their illicit gains, and do not think I am unaware. Gu Yechen smiled, and within moments, he had reclaimed 90% of the embezzled funds, revealing that this group had collectively siphoned off an astonishing 15 billion. Shanghan Hotel was vast, with numerous rooms, and due to the high demand of this populous world, it was nearly always at full capacity. Coupled with the various entertainment venues and restaurants, the daily net profit could reach an astounding 10 million. Truly remarkable. Gu Yeqing made a phone call to report the crimes and initiate legal proceedings, leading to the arrest of the entire group, who would now face the consequences of their actions. To the remaining individuals, commendations are in order. I appreciate diligent employees, and this year, I shall grant each of you an additional 2 months' salary. Gu Yeqing proclaimed, immediately earning applause from the staff, as an extra 2 months' pay was no trifling matter. Thank you, boss, Wang Li exclaimed, with others echoing their gratitude. Their faces radiated joy and appreciation, gazes filled with admiration for Gu Yeqing. Gu Yeqing signaled for silence and addressed Zhang Yun, saying, "This is your new general manager. Her words will henceforth represent my own." He surveyed the crowd, who remained silent, fully aware of the implications of his statement. Moreover, he had no concerns regarding Zhang Yun's loyalty, as her heart was steadfast. General manager. General manager.